Beautiful. Bo, my son, my 5-year-old son, good morning to you, buddy. You're a real ad-libber, Bo. Very good on your feet. As he looks down at his shoes. All right. Are you a little cold? A little bit? Yeah. It's going to warm up. And I think the good news is Manny Machado will be here. So very excited about that. Yesterday, I thought was a really fun show, being able to broadcast from the Airbnb, having Bob Scanlon come by for an hour and hang out and talk baseball was a highlight for me, certainly, on what was an otherwise, pretty good show, but just not out here amongst and amidst the action.
I did see some of the results of Picture Day yesterday.
Yeah.
Really fantastic images that they took here at the Peoria Sports
Now,
Complex.
This is a pretty big moment here.
Oh, wow.
Here is a very, 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 very large moment. If my wife could turn around. Oh, God. You got to say hello.
We got to explain what just happened on the radio.
Hold on. So
it was pretty funny.
Get this picture. Hang on. Let me get that picture. Give another one.
So on sneaky cat feet, one Jake Cronenworth just snuck up right behind Hannah Nankira Woods, and she turned around and jumped out of her chair about 6 feet, I think. Just absolutely.
It's a weird moment for me, I will say. This is a very, very weird moment for me here on the radio. But hey, listen, that's what it's all about. How you doing? Good. Feeling good? You playing today? Tomorrow.
All right. Breaking news. We've got
more breaking news.
First lineup news of the day. We are just killing it. Yeah.
Second team already, huh? Yeah. just here to help the ball club win. That's my man, Jay Cronenworth. My wife's heart is palpitating right now. I saw him coming up, and I went, oh, no, this is going to be bad. This is going to be very, very bad. So, well, congratulations. You guys finally met, and now we can end all this BS.
Now he's laughing. Now he is laughing.
That was pretty special.
Yeah, it was a good day yesterday. It was fun to do the show at the Airbnb. We checked out this morning, though.
You were talking about Picture Day. Yeah, the pictures that rolled in yesterday from this squad were, just staggering. Like I said, I think I said it Tuesday when we got here. If you could win a World Series on looks and swag, then we win. Straight up. We went 162-0 for this squad. But unfortunately, that's not how it's done. You got to play the games and win them on the field. But, man, the guys look great. Looked like they were having fun with their Sony PlayStation stuff and getting their pictures all done, all the marketing and stuff for the year. Petco Park's going to be electric with all the stuff that they've got going with this squad.
That's a good point. I mean, it may not make a difference that you're a swaggy team in the win-loss column, but I certainly think it makes a difference at the ballpark and the fan experience when you're cheering for a team that just kind of oozes whatever it is that the Padres do. Yeah, it makes the experience better over 162 games.
Well, listen, these are fun players to watch, man.
Yeah.
Like almost damn near 1 through 9. I mean, they're pretty fun players to watch, all the way up and down the lineup. And the pitching staff obviously is really interesting as well. So this is the most interesting team in baseball, to be sure. And kind of honestly, I've seen a lot of fans kind of lamenting it, saying, "Man, it looks pretty awesome. It looks pretty awesome what they've got going down there in San Diego." So really excited about today's show. It's the last one for us before we head back, but it has been a spectacular week. Thank you again to Padres PR for knocking it out of the park for us, bringing us by all the guys we wanted. It's been such a trip, and one of those deals where it won't sink in until Monday or Tuesday when you're kind of laying in bed going, we did talk to Juan Soto was sitting right next to me. That's weird. I mean, I'm 47 years old, but I'm still like a 10-year-old. When I'm around these guys, it's pretty nuts.
In addition to Manny, who's supposed to be our first guest as soon as he arrives this morning, so don't go anywhere. I mean,
This could be
It could be in a minute.
Second.
It could be in 7 minutes. We're just kind of playing it by ear when he walks by. His first job apparently is to sit down at the table with us. Also tentatively scheduled to join the program this morning, Joe Musgrove is going to be by. Assume that the wisdom teeth are doing okay.
Big smile on my son's face. He loves No Joe.
We got a reschedule with Nelson Cruz later this hour as well. He was going to be with us on Tuesday, but never made it. So he's going to do a little check-in here on Friday. Josh Hader, we have not talked to before.
Excited about
We'll get our first conversation. That will come in our 7 o'clock hour. And then at some point before the workouts get started later, Blake Snell should be stopping by as well with Ben and Wood. So another star-studded lineup here at Padres Spring Training in Peoria, Arizona.
It's yeah, I mean, if all those come to fruition. Plus, the other thing is there's some guys that we know and love walking around down here as well. Don Orsillo is going to be down here at some point today. Doesn't mean he'll sit down with us, but we'll at least get to say hello. Ben had the great idea this morning of going to get a dozen donuts. And
Dunkin'
from
Donuts.
Dunkin'
Yes.
Donuts.
I mean, I felt like that was part of the key.
To try to lure him in, to lure Don in. America runs on Dunkin', and so does Don Orsillo.
He was a Boston announcer for many years. It's kind of their staple in the mornings.
Maybe he's left it behind, though. Maybe he's anti-Dunkin' Donuts. Because,
well, you do move to San Diego and you give up certain things. That's true. And you adopt new favorites. So it's possible. But I thought it was worth a shot. Paulie said, we're going to bring the bait out to catch an Orsillo. And all we're going to end up with is a bunch of mudcat.
We're going to catch a mudcat. Yeah, that's exactly right.
We got the wrong bait.
We got the wrong.
You don't throw those on a grill and
no. Smother them in pork chop sauce and gravy.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find scallops and some nice prime rib to lure Don Orsillo with this morning.
But they'll be running around. I think Tony Gwynn Jr. is down here as well. Would love to say hello to him and catch up with him of the Gwynn and Chris show. So, yeah, man, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen out here. But you do see some very nice cars pulling in the parking lot. So that means some players are going to be rolling in very, very soon.
And, of course, today is the first game. Jake Cronenworth not in the lineup. But Bob Melvin did say expect a number of the WBC players to be in there. So my guess would be, Manny, Nelson Cruz, Xander Bogaerts, all possible in the lineup today against the Seattle Mariners in a game you'll be able to hear right here on 97.3 The Fan. Tony Gwynn Jr. arrived yesterday. Jesse's been here for a week or so, and they'll be calling the game first time. It's always good to hear their voices back on the radio. Means baseball season is here.
That's exactly right. We when the family got here yesterday, I wanted to show them the complex. So we drove into the complex, and we went back by the stadium. And on the big board, they had they had Xander up there and his number and everything else. Like they were kind of doing their little dress rehearsal in there, get it ready. So I would imagine Xander Bogaerts would be in the lineup today as well, because they at least had him on the board yesterday. So we'll see what happens. But hey, I want to shout out to a lot of the tier ones that are making their way out here. It's been very treacherous, the drive out here. So many people that we know, our friend Charisma they got in an accident. They're okay. They didn't make it. Got another DM from a tier one that was on her way out. Took them 10 hours to get out here yesterday. So if you are making the trek from San Diego, please be careful, kind of be aware of what's going down.
Not looking forward to that drive back this afternoon, I'll tell you that.
Just text me and let me know how it goes.
Going a slow, long way around and trying to just be as careful as possible. Let's take a quick timeout.
Okay, just in case.
Just in case he pulls up, and then we can get everything set up. We'll remind you that you can listen to 97.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app for your chance to win a pair of tickets to Depeche Mode at Pechanga Arena on December 6th. Every hour you listen now through March 5th equals one entry in the contest. So Manny should be first up, and then we get a bunch of guests here from Padres Spring Training in Peoria, Arizona as we get rolling on a Friday, wrapping up a big week. Let's see how that traffic is doing back in San Diego. Get a check with Kelly Danick here on 97.3 The Fan. selection on the Daily Ditty today. Live
Beautiful,
and let
Benny.
die.
Absolutely beautiful.
Now, Paul and I realized that due to the one loss on Take on Woods and the day off on Monday because of the holiday, we have once again lined up for you to make the Daily Ditty selection
It's like 4
to
weeks
start
in a
the
row.
week again for the fourth consecutive week. It's been an entire month of Woods' themes. Just based on the random chance of how it's all landed. So when we get back to the studio, it'll be your turn again to set the tone for the week.
Yeah, and obviously it's been a really busy week out here. I don't want to bury the lead, though. I mean, Padres baseball is back today. There is actual Padres baseball. There is a baseball game that we fans get to watch today. And we're going to be out there. Ben, you're going to come for a couple innings, you said?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely stay for as long as I can. I want to get home before, like middle of the night, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay and see Nick Martinez, throw a couple of innings, hopefully see everyone get through the lineup at least once, and then I'll be hitting the road back for San Diego.
Yeah, just be very careful. Like I said, going into break, man, there's a lot of pretty treacherous out there. So everyone be safe. Take your time getting out of here. Our pal Ryan Phillips drove out last night as well, and I think it took him some exorbitant amount of time as well. So, Paulie, Benny, please be safe on the way home. I don't want to do this show by myself. I really don't. I mean, it's mostly for selfish reasons. I like you guys. I want to keep doing a show together.
We will be careful.
All
I
right.
promise.
Okay.
Still waiting on Manny Machado. Should be here any moment, so don't go anywhere.
Got Manny time this morning.
Manny Machado is going to, yeah, it's all right.
That's fine. Do whatever you want.
Absolutely. I did see a story yesterday. Joe Musgrove walked in a couple of minutes ago. Jason Stark reporting for The Athletic that Major League Baseball umpires, in addition to enforcing a whole slew of new rules this year, are also going to be asked to put an emphasis again on the checking for sticky stuff.
Yes.
And in the last season, it got a little bit perfunctory from Major League Baseball's perspective that, hey, yeah, once or twice a game, usually the same innings, they'd have the pitcher walk off, they'd check their hands, and that would really be the extent of it. Now they're going to authorize umpires to do it more often, to do a little more surprise. If they had any, like a suspicion that something was going on, they could stop in the middle of an inning and have the pitcher come and check not just their hands, but their belt buckle, under their hat, anywhere where they, were touching in the same place over and over again that looked a little odd.
Remember what Eno Saris told us many, many months ago. There was a rumor of the way that you could actually get it off of your hands in between innings, and I believe it was was it rubbing alcohol? So you'd soak your pant leg with clear rubbing alcohol, and then before you went to the sideline to get your hand checked, you just kind of clean it off on your pants. And I mean, look, like I said, there's a million ways around this stuff.
Well, and they said that it wasn't specifically because of what happened in the playoffs with Buck Showalter and Joe Musgrove. It was actually more with something that Eno Saris did, which is kind of weird.
Speaking of the devil.
But Eno, with how great he is with the numbers, he was looking at spin rates, and they were looking at the innings where umpires typically checked the pitchers. And I'm not sure it was like the second and the fifth or what it was, but the spin rates in those innings were lower than in other innings when the umpires didn't typically check.
That's unreal.
Pitchers. And because of that data that Eno kind of mined into and found, Major League Baseball apparently decided let's mix things up a little bit and put an added emphasis on the checking for the sticky stuff. So, I mean, that's as data-driven as you can get, and a feather, I think, in Eno Saris's cap. Yeah, that work that he does actually is impacting the game of Major League Baseball.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's that for him to put that. Now, I mean, there's going to be some pitchers out there that aren't really happy with that news,
yeah.
But and we've long said, and I don't know how difficult it would be. We know the old tired adage is that every hitter is like, look, I don't care if you're using something to help you grip the baseball. What I care about is if it doubles your spin rate. That's what I care about. That's unfortunate. That's cheating, in a sense. But if it can help you get a grip on the ball, we're all for it. Paulie and I were out here, fantasy camp. We had a big bucket of brand new Major League Baseballs. They're slicker. They're slicker than you can imagine, dude. And you're spitting on your hand, trying to rub it up. Nothing. I blame. That's why I pitched so poorly.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I just couldn't get a grip. That was
the other team had
they must have had the tacky balls,
baseballs.
Yeah.
That's why we lost.
That's why we lost every game,
single game, and went 0-6.
I think there's got to be a happy medium where baseball can create something that is okay. Like, we can all use this. Here's what happens though. Hey guys, here it is. It's called Product X, and every pitcher is going to get it and go, all right, Product X. How can I make this Product X plus Y and make this even better?
Yeah,
and it's the nature of the game. But yeah, the checks, if they're going to get more stringent, I guess, is it more frequent, or are they just going to be more detailed?
A little more random and a little more detailed when they happen. Okay. I don't know.
How do you get more detailed than fingering someone's ears?
That was an unusual situation. But usually you saw what they did. The pitcher would walk off the mound. The umpire would kind of half-heartedly wipe his hand across the pitcher's hand, and they go ahead, leave.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand from an umpire's perspective. If I was an ump,
oh god,
that would be my
terrible.
least favorite part of the job.
That and calling balls and strikes.
Having
But yes,
having to go over and touch someone else.
you would hate
like
that.
like a security screener or something where you actually have to like touch them,
Yeah.
and check on them. I wouldn't want to do it, and it became something that the umpires. I'm sure some of them did a little more thoroughly. Others probably just need to go.
Remember the one guy that grabbed the guy's hand?
Oh yeah,
And he just stared at his eyes for like 3 minutes.
I remember
straight.
that one. Yeah.
Hopefully, there's none of that tomfoolery going on this year. But no, I mean, look, it needs to be fair. The game needs to be fair. Those guys have they can all spin it. They can all throw it really, really hard. It is important that they are able to get a grip on it. But when you're talking 1,000 RPMs on a fastball, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. So you got to make sure it's fair.
It is sad. I mean, I think it's great that they can now, get the rotation, the speed. I mean, you could, in the old days, your eye would tell you that, that guy's snapping off a really wicked breaking ball, but you didn't know exactly what the spin rate was. The technology didn't exist. Now they can tell you down to the number, how fast that thing is spinning. And
well, you heard we had somebody on yesterday. I think it was Bob actually, who had been watching the TrackMan data when a couple of guys were out there throwing, and he's like, they're moving it at 2,300 RPMs or something. And Bob and Niebla, they're all standing back there watching those numbers. Those numbers are very, very important. They're very important. So, you can totally understand why a pitcher would want to use something to increase that. I mean, that's kind of almost like, I don't want to say that's how they're measured, because they're measured by getting guys out.
But it leads almost to the same sort of suspicions, unfounded ones, that we had during the steroid era. Because I'm sure there were a few clean power hitters.
Absolutely.
That were, of course, under suspicion. Oh, look at those numbers going up. The same with pitchers that have high spin rates. All of a sudden everyone thinks, oh, why is his spin rate gone up, 300 in recent years? He must be on the sticky stuff. Well, maybe he's just a better pitcher now.
Maybe he's
figured out how to,
how to spin it more,
snap it a little more tightly than he had before. And, you're just going to have that constant suspicion around pitchers the way we have had around power hitters, in PEDs.
Well, I think with guys like Eno Saris out there, though, that track things like this, and I'm sure, believe you me, that AJ Preller and his crew, they're tracking what everybody else is spinning to, and people are tracking what the Padres are spinning it at. And what it boils down to is this game is just one giant chess match every single day. And how can you get an edge? How can you make a move to weaken your opponent? It's just a matter of, I think in this case, getting away with it. If you can get away with it, they're going to be cracking down on it. But these guys are still going to try to use stuff to be able to spin it.
It just, someone will be the first guy who maybe gets caught under the more strict enforcement. It doesn't mean they're the only ones, but they'll take the brunt of the criticism and the fire, when that does happen.
Remember the video that a Tier 1 was at Petco Park before a Dodgers-Padres game, and it was hours before the game, and he had actual video of Trevor Bauer. Remember that video he sent me of Trevor Bauer, like, spraying it into his glove, holding like the ball sticking on his hand, like trying to manipulate it so where he could find the perfect spot in his glove to hide it, perfect spot on his hand to hide it. They've been doing this for a while. They're going to probably continue to do it until there's a big crackdown.
All right. I want to thank Mattress Makers, natural handcrafted mattresses in La Mesa, for bringing you all of our spring training coverage. I made sure to grab my pillow. I've got it in the car.
Grab mine too.
In case I get stranded on the road somewhere, at least I'll be comfortable with my pillow in my car on the way home. But thank you to Mattress Makers. You should stop by, check it out. Make those pillows right in front of you. Go with a local company with their own factory, not one of those the big box mattress places. Please check them out, Mattress Makers in La Mesa. All right, we'll take a time out. We'll come back. The guests should start coming in.
We're going to just plan for Joe first.
Okay.
And then when Manny gets here,
all right, we got the rest of the we got 3.5 hours left. It should line up very well for us. Stick around. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Arizona, 6:36 back in San Diego, but the sun is up. The nicest day since we've been out here.
Beautiful.
In spring training. Of course, it's the day we have to leave, but joining us right now is Padres pitcher Joe Musgrove. Joe, it is always good to see you. Welcome another season of Padres baseball, and it's just great to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, man. It's a good location for a show. I don't know what time you guys got out here, but you guys must have been sitting out here in the cold for a little bit, huh?
Yeah, the 2 days ago was like hazard pay day. It was windy and cold and rainy, but man, it was so worth it getting to talk to the owner, Peter Seidler, and everybody else. It's just been it's been pretty crazy walking in the locker room for you. Since you've been here, always a lot of new faces, but the caliber just keeps kind of going up and up and up. You see Xander Bogaerts walk in, and guys like that. It's got to be a good feeling for you.
Oh yeah, it's great, man, and it's been a long time. I can remember the last time San Diego had a team like this and had excitement like this around baseball. So, it's exciting. The run we had last year to show that we were capable with the guys that we had, and then to make the additions we did this offseason, just adds more confidence and kind of more fuel to that fire. Everyone's dying to get back there, and we talked about this before, but you always talk about spring training goals of wanting to make the postseason and getting to the playoffs and ultimately make a run for that championship. And until you actually get there and get to experience that, you don't truly understand what that means. And I think going through that last year, coming back to spring, everyone has a real understanding when we talk about what we're shooting for and what the goal is. Everyone knows what that is and what that feels like. So I think all that stuff plays into it.
Physically, how are you feeling coming into the season? I saw that you had your wisdom teeth out earlier this week, but other than that, everything feeling pretty good?
Yeah, that's about the most trouble I've had. This whole buildup really from the off season. I did the Antarctica trip. I was gone for a couple of weeks, and that was kind of some good rest recovery time. And then, ever since that, I've been feeling really strong, healthy. Shoulder, elbow feel like they're in a really good spot. So now it's just kind of fine tuning the stuff before we get going.
What's your schedule? I know Nick's pitching today, and Bob said Seth is going to start tomorrow, and Julio on Sunday. Right. When will we see you out there on the diamond over in the stadium?
Yeah, we're kind of bouncing some dates back and forth still, but we try to build up a little bit in our lives and backfield work and kind of sharpen some stuff up before we get out there in the game. So this Saturday, today Friday, I think. Yeah, today's Friday. Tomorrow. Yeah. So tomorrow I'll throw kind of in a B game over at the White Sox facility. I'll throw on their minor league side for a couple innings, and then I believe Thursday should be my first live game action.
Lucky White Sox B players.
Yeah, right. Oh, God, here we go.
They might probably get me at the best time they can get me now, though, before we get really dialed in. So,
talking to Joe Musgrove here on Ben and Woods this morning. It's got to be pretty refreshing. You've been part of a team, Joe. Like when you were with the Pirates and when you guys get together for spring training, everyone's excited to be there. You're all big leaguers. You're making good money. You're having fun with your guys. But there had to be a sense, at least in the back of your mind, of, well, let's see what happens, right? Yeah. I mean, to actually come into camp and hear your manager and your owner, say, look, we're gunning for a World Series championship, and you can look around the room and actually believe that you have the horses to do it, has got to be a pretty sweet feeling for you guys.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the reality of it. You can't always look around your clubhouse and be realistic about saying you have a good chance at winning the whole thing. And I think when those opportunities do present themselves, you have to take it by the horns, I guess, and you have to really go for it. For so long in Pittsburgh, you walked in with the expectation of, we can surprise some people this year, but it didn't feel like we had the team, right out of the gate to really make a run at the thing. So, and that's another part about some of the guys we added, like some of those big names and guys that have been around and are, a big presence in the locker room. They bring out, the best in people. You show up every day, you want to be accountable to them. You don't want to be the one that's slacking off and get called out by Nelly or by, Bogey or any of these guys. So I think it kind of has everyone on their best.
Can you have, and it's so interesting, we talked about this when all the signings came through, Matt Carpenter, another guy, man, it's been through it, veteran leadership, you yourself, Manny, there's a lot of voices in the room and a lot of guys that you want to be accountable to every single day. That said, can you have too much leadership on a team?
I don't know. I think as long as everybody knows what they bring to the table and you be your genuine, authentic self and you don't try too hard. I think that's a nice thing about being here, especially for me, because we've talked about this before. But, I lead in a very, individualized sense where like I kind of do my thing and I just kind of let people kind of come along when they want. And I'm not going to be there forcing you and pulling you on the way. I'm just going to kind of set a tone and let you try to follow in line. And, it makes it easy when I have guys that are a little more vocal, that I can run that side of things.
Yeah.
I can kind of just be myself and bring what I bring to the table. And I think you get, the culmination of everybody with a little bit of something, whether it's personality or the spark and the fire or the calmness and the comedic relief. I think everybody brings something to the table, and really understanding what that is that you bring and bringing that every day is valuable.
Joe, there was a report in The Athletic yesterday that Major League Baseball umpires, in addition to enforcing new rules, are going to be asked to put an added emphasis on checking for sticky stuff again this season. Now, they're not calling it because of what happened to you in the playoffs, but the result might actually be more of what happened to you in the playoffs. That umpires might check during an inning, or whenever they see something, they're going to go out and start checking more areas, belts, hats, things like that. What's your reaction to hearing that? Obviously, you handled that with amazing grace and actually entertainment value for the rest of us.
One of the greatest moments of last season.
I'm not really surprised, honestly. I mean, the game has continued to change, and, there's rule changes. And I think some of these things, like the integrity of the game, goes down a little bit because there are some big loopholes where the game can kind of be fooled with a little bit, just because the rules say it's a certain way. You can do these things that aren't really authentic, true baseball moves. But the sticky stuff, I mean, I don't know what else they can do to check us and keep us intact. I mean, I got checked every inning walking off the mound last year in that game. And,
pitch nude, maybe.
I mean, I did everything. I did follow all the rules, and then to still get, exposed. And not to say that I was embarrassed, but it's a moment where, they're pointing you out in front of everybody. You got the whole stadium screaming cheater at you. It doesn't feel great. But in a sense, I don't think it affected the performance negatively at all. If anything, it turned it on a little bit for me. So
thanks for lighting that fire for us, Buck.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
that stuff happens. But like, it's more the aftermath of that moment. It's like, now I got to deal with all these talk show hosts talking, and everybody's questioning. I go out and pitch a game in my life, and now it's never because I was good enough. It's because I must have been using something. So that frustrates me a little bit. But I know, and my guys know, and the coaches know, like, what we went into that start and what I was going through, and why we got the result we did. So I don't know. Yeah, with the checks and stuff and all the sticky stuff, I think it's covered about as good as you can cover. I don't know what else you can do.
Talking to Joe Musgrove here on Ben and Woods. Thanks again for the time. After oral surgery, we really, really appreciate it. One of the things that we've all been talking about a ton this week is the depth of this team, not only offensively but pitching wise. And we had Michael Walker on. I'm sure you've gone up against him, a bunch in your career. Seth Lugo is a new guy in camp. Jay Groom's getting a lot of love. Who have you gotten to see throw that maybe you could tell our audience, hey, watch out for this guy. He looks really, really good. We kind of know what our first 5, 6 may look like, but has there been anybody out there that's really impressed you so far?
Yeah, Lugo's been really good. And again, I mean, a really good pitcher, just hasn't pitched out of that starting role in a while. So that's nothing more than, just a little endurance and, stamina that is the concern, not necessarily the stuff. But I thought Ryan Weathers has looked pretty good this camp. Commanding the ball really well. I watched Tehran throw for a while yesterday. He had the backdoor sinker and the little cutter slider going really well. So everyone showed a little bit of something good, and that's the nice thing, is that we are going to need options, especially with the back end of the rotation being, some previous relief, pitchers. There's going to be a question for innings and how much they can, withhold throughout the year. So we'd love to get them all through without missing a start, but the reality is we got all these arms down here that if we need to, we can bounce different options in. And I think everyone's coming with the understanding that, I'm going to get a shot this year. It's just about being ready for when it comes.
Joe, I know you've got some soup to go eat, so we appreciate you stopping by. And
enjoy your Jell-O milkshake.
As always, thank you so much for your time. Good
luck
this
appreciate
season.
it. Love chatting with you guys.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Joe Musgrove, starting pitcher for the San Diego Padres, and always one of our absolute favorites here on Ben and Woods. And we will be cheering for another great season from Joe Musgrove this year with the San Diego Padres. Of course, he's got 5 more years after signing the contract extension last year. It's a good feeling knowing that he's going to be around for a long time.
Let's make it 5 more, man. Just love that guy. Just love that guy. Extend everybody. Just extend everybody. Yep, there he is. Look at that.
Speaking of
extensions,
we will get that set up in just a second here. But it's good to hear from Joe and his thoughts on the enforcement of the sticky stuff rule that's going to happen. I do, from the perspective that he had, I do feel like, it is unfair, the game of your life, and they talk about that.
I know, isn't that a bummer? You go out and you throw the game of your life, and you got Brian Kenny on MLB Network just ripping you to shreds. I thought that was terrible, and obviously it stuck with Joe. And but we move on. We move on to the next guest. Very excited to welcome to the Ben and Woods Show Nelly Cruz for the first time. Can we call you Nelly?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I feel
you're
like
getting
I
really
overst-
personal.
I
Yeah,
feel
just
like-
met the guy. I mean, not really even yet.
I feel like I overstepped there for
Yeah.
a second, so I'm sorry.
Mr.
No, you're
Cruz
good,
to
you're good.
you. Thank you very much. Senor Cruz.
Well,
Nelly's fine. Boomstick's fine.
Boomstick.
Cruz.
Yes.
I love that nickname, by the way. Where did that actually come from?
Because he hits a lot of home
Well, I
runs.
know that, but someone must have given it to him. Someone must have said it for the first time. You didn't.
Well, in 2009, the video game, the 2K video game.
Yeah.
I was writing a picture of myself, Andrew Belly, back then winning the Rookie of the Year. So it was me against him talking each other crap.
Yeah.
So in that video, I was scratching myself, hitting homer against Andrew Belly, and then I called my bat Boomstick
Boomstick.
in that video. So since then, the fans,
So it was
I
your
guess,
bat,
like her.
and now it's you.
Yeah.
Well, we sat out here on the back patio last year, and we were interviewing one Manny Machado, and he was talking about your longevity, and he actually mentioned, like, right where you're sitting, he said, "Man, look at what Nelly Cruz is doing," and I know Manny's been a big proponent of getting you here, and now he's got you here, and that's got to be exciting. Tell us a little bit, if you could, about your relationship with Manny and some of the other guys.
Yeah, we have a pretty good relationship. Yeah, Juan Soto, him, Tatis, we know for a long time. The case with Manny longer, before he went to Baltimore. And then when I was in Baltimore, yeah, definitely the relationship grew. And now we call it friend. He called me a dad. I guess I can be his father, but but definitely it's growing. Yeah.
Like you call his dad, he also has to call you Mr. General Manager.
Yes.
Because you're serving that role for the Dominican Republic team in the World Baseball Classic coming up next month. What has that entailed? I mean, what kind of work have you had to put in, this off season to get ready for the WBC?
Well, from nothing, from zero,
Yeah.
It's done from the bottom. Just to call in players, call agents, call GMs, ask for permission to those players to play. Call coaches, find out the coaches if they're able to play. From nothing, we had to do everything. A long all season, a lot of work, a lot of emails, calls. But it's nice to see finalize the roster and the great job the guys behind me also did, and we have pretty good things. So hopefully God give it the help and we can go there and win the whole thing. That's the goal.
Are you eligible to play as well? Can you swing it?
Yes,
You can. Okay,
yes.
good.
If they put me on, I will swing.
All right, good. Yeah, perfect.
But that's not your decision. That goes the manager
I
gets
don't make
to
that call,
make
no.
the lineup. You're just the GM. Then you
Gee.
hand over the reins to the manager.
Yeah, nice to have a GM that can also go out and hit one out of the ballpark off anybody. But no, we were obviously super excited to get you here. I know that there were probably some other offers, some other cities that you could have gone to play in. What was so attractive about coming to San Diego?
Well, first of all, just the team that we have, we load, and we have the good chance to win the World Series. That's my goal. That's the optimal goal that I want to make. And it was easy, Once you see the roster, you know pretty good that it's a legit chance to win.
Yeah.
Nelson Cruz is with us. Everyone knows. I mean, you're here for your bat. You're one of the great hitters of the 21st century in baseball. But we saw you out taking some first base, even in the outfield a little bit. I mean, is there a chance? Are you expecting to have to go out in the field a little bit this year at some points, just because of how deep this team is right now?
Hopefully, yeah. I'm just getting ready. Whatever they want me, I'll be ready for that. Outfield, first base, DH, shortstop, third base.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some guys always want to pitch.
Yeah.
If in a
I
blowout.
don't think I want to pay.
If all right, well,
Padres fan. I always cheered for Team
it
USA.
feels like
but
our team, though.
I feel like we're cheering for the Dominican
Yeah.
Republic.
You
I
should.
think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
You kind of convinced
We
Padres
got
fans.
the Dominican Padres.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be nuts. Yeah, you guys go out and I mean the lineup is so good. It's gonna be so much fun to watch. Much like ours here in San Diego. I know the fans are looking forward to seeing you out there opening day and wish you a great season, man.
Thank you.
You playing
Appreciate
today?
it. Yes, I am.
All right.
Nice.
Let's see the boomstick in
let's see
person
it in
out there.
action.
Yeah.
Good luck today, then.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Nelson Cruz with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Going to be in the lineup today for Bob Melvin as the Padres take on the Seattle Mariners in the first game of the season. Cactus League schedule that you'll hear right here on 97.3 The Fan with Jesse Aguilar and Tony Gwynn coming up at 1:05 today.
Excellent. So Manny's waiting. What are we going to do here? Should we blow out the thing? No?
Go to break like normal.
Can we go to break?
So we got a couple
can't go to
minutes
break
here.
early.
We got a couple minutes here, and then we will get back. Hang on, and plug in Paulie in so he can talk to us. I'll be around. I can do this. Paulie.
You got it.
You told me.
I did, but I can't see it. There we go. All right, now you're back.
All right, there we go. Yeah, we're just normal. We got a couple minutes here
Just
before we go to break.
Just relax.
And
Just
then
relax. Be cool.
at 7 o'clock, Manuel Arturo Machado.
All right. Might have a little surprise in store for Manny, by the way. You guys are going to want to hang around and see what that is.
I think one of the I don't want to call it challenges because Bob Melvin, you're blessed with depth that he may not have had last year.
Yeah.
But in terms of his designated hitter, you've got Matt Carpenter from the left side and Nelson Cruz from the right side. And you could go strictly platoon, but I've got to imagine there's going to be parts of the season where, both guys get hot and it's going to be a kind of a bit of a, like riding the hot hand. Do you just strictly platoon? How is that going to work? And how is Bob Melvin going to maximize both of those guys and not keep them, you don't want to stick them on the bench forever.
Yeah, let them rot. I know.
If you don't face a lefty for a week and a half, you don't want to just leave Nelson Cruz out there. I'm sure he can pinch hit a little bit, but you want to get him in the lineup occasionally as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, one of the things that Bob's going to have to manage. He's going to do it pretty well, but it is something to think about. Certainly, you want to make sure guys stay active. You want to make sure guys get a chance to get in the groove. I mean, sitting and rotting for a week, if you're a Matt Carpenter and Nelly Cruz, I don't think does this team any good. But the fact that Carp can go and play multiple positions if you need it to get Crony off his feet or Manny off his feet is fantastic. So
yeah, it's great to do that. Let's take a quick check of traffic, and then we'll wrap up the hour and set the stage for Manny next on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Problems in the North County, guys. One is on the coastline. This solo spin out south on 5 before Las Pulgas. Vehicle facing the wrong way in the fast lane. Now on the eastbound 78, just past the 5, there's a crash involving a motorcycle. Emergency crews got the 2 left lanes blocked. And looks like the 2 right lanes are still blocked on westbound 78 before Mar Vista. Vehicle over the side. So, yeah, just watch out for lots of activity there. Also, an accident clearing up on the southbound 5 right before the Coronado Bridge. Everything over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, got just another minute or so here before the top of the hour, and then Manny Machado is scheduled to join us coming up at 7 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock here at the Peoria Sports Complex. And, I mean, obviously there's the big question that everyone's wondering about. He's kind of said his part on that. I'm not going to –
yes, yeah.
I'm not necessarily going to just make him sit here until he tells us what his thinking is on a contract extension. He's announced he's going to opt out at the end of the season.
Yep.
And if I'm being completely honest, I think that's the smartest decision he could possibly make. So, we'll obviously bring it up, but it's not going to be 10 minutes of, Manny, what are you going to do? What if they offer you this? What if they do that?
It's been done to death already. It has. And the intentions are clear. And, I think that the one question we could ask him is, look, I know that there's a deadline, but deadlines are made to be moved. And if you get wowed, is that something that you'll entertain or your agent will entertain? I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's, it's been made pretty clear what's going to happen. Obviously, we all want him here, and he belongs here in San Diego, and he's beloved here. So keep it rolling. That's how I feel. But you also got to make sure that you get what you're worth.
All guests on Ben & Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. The next guest will be Manny Machado as soon as we come back at the top of the hour here. Do not go away. Ben & Woods live from spring training in Arizona on San Diego's #1 sports station, 90. We're live in Peoria, Arizona, and this has become pretty much an annual tradition for us out here at spring training. It's something that I look forward to greatly. Woods, I know you and Paul feel the same because it's a chance for us to sit down face-to-face with Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. Manny, it's great to have you back on the show. You're looking fantastic, and I'm sure you're excited to get another season started here.
For sure. Appreciate it, guys.
So are you playing today, by the way?
Yeah.
Out there? Nice. All
I'm
right.
in there game one.
Game
100%.
one? I saw Nelly said he was going to be in as well. So it's going to be a pretty good lineup for the first day against the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, we got a squad going. Bogey, me, Soto, Nelly, Crony, Kim. Well, I don't think Crony's in there today. Kim.
Yeah, Crony said he's in there tomorrow, but yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty special.
All the WBC guys, because you guys are leaving pretty soon and you want to get some time together before you all split up for your WBC team.
Yeah, we got to kind of get ready for that classic. I think that's a pretty special moment, and we got to get some at bats before we go. We can't look bad, you know.
Well, Adam Jones isn't playing, so that has to make you happy.
A little bit, but don't say it too much. Don't say it too much.
He's our boy. He comes on once a week with us. He's obviously a huge fan of yours, but that play, nobody will ever forget. But man, I think the thing that I love the most about the WBC is, you watch, maybe like the baseball all-star game's different. Guys play really hard. Guys are still throwing smoke. Basketball, not so much. Football, not so much. The WBC is like a next level. So how do you focus on that and also kind of make sure that you're getting everything you need to get done for the season, or is it kind of the same thing?
I think it's pretty much the same thing. I think the only thing that changes is just the intensities of the games.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going there and you're playing 9 innings right away. You're playing for a country, so you have a whole country on your back. But I think just the intensity is the only thing that's kind of like changes. I think the workload is still the same. You're kind of still getting that workload in, getting ready for a season at the end of the day, playing it safe. Obviously, you don't want to, harm yourself or get hurt or anything bad happen. But I think it's just an amazing feeling. I mean, I think representing a country, representing your country, it's one of the biggest honors that you can have.
Do you think it could actually be beneficial for you, with the intensity being so early? Because look, spring training games, you're going to go in today, you're going to get a couple ABs, and you're going to pack your bag and walk back to the clubhouse. This one's a little different. Now, when opening day hits, you'll have already been through some, pretty high intensity ABs. You think it'll help you get even more locked in? Yeah,
it definitely does help. It helps big time. I think the worst part about it is you go there, you play sold out games, and you come back here to Peoria and there's only 2,000 fans in the stands. It's a little different. I think that's it shocks you a little bit, but it definitely locks you in. It gets you ready. I think it gets you ready for the postseason. Hearing the intensity, hearing the fans, but I mean, in Petco Park, I think we had it all year last year for the last 2 months of the season. We had it in the postseason. We're going to have it for opening day. We're going to have it for 80 games that we're going to be playing at home this year. I think, it's going to be, I think the closest stadium is going to get to that. I don't think there is any. So it's going to be fun at Petco Park this year.
Sitting here with Manny Machado, and Woods reminded us when Nelson Cruz sat down just a few minutes ago that you were sitting right there when you expressed your admiration for his longevity and a desire to hopefully, play with him at some point. And now he's here. What does it mean to have him in this clubhouse and as your GM for the World Baseball Classic as well?
Was that a Manny request? Was that a Manny request
to get Nelly? Maybe, get Nelly here. But for the GM, I don't know. That's on him. But it's crazy, man, and it's I think we learning from him after my first knee surgery. He came into Baltimore, and he kind of took me and Scopey under the wing, and that was the first time that I kind of like learned my body, learned how to like become a man, become a baseball player. How are you gonna withstand a full season? And because obviously I didn't, I got hurt, 6 games left into the season my first year, so. I learned how to he took me under the wing, hey, come on, let's go. We're going to work out every single day. And we will work out every single day. We would do everything together. And that kind of made me the player who I am today. So to have him back on the team, I know what impact he does to other players, what impact he does to me. And it's going to be special to have him around. And I mean, you guys saw him. You saw how good he looks at 42 years old. God,
he does. He looks amazing.
It's unbelievable. That's why I'm trying to play till I'm 42. That's the inspiration right there.
100%. Talking to Manny Machado here on Ben and Woods this morning, and I don't know how much you lament the fact that the time that you missed last year with the ankle. I don't know, man. Like when you came back, I still think you kind of got jobbed for the MVP. We haven't talked to you since the voting and stuff went down. An MVP is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. And to be in the top 3 is certainly an honor. But I don't know. I mean, how does it feel for you when you hear that you didn't win it?
I mean, obviously it's devastating, and it's not. You always want to win MVP. I haven't won one, so this is the closest I've ever been. Ultimately it's about the team, man. I think we got deep into that postseason run, and I think that was important for us, important for the organization, important for the fans, and I think that I value that more. Obviously, I want that trophy.
Sure.
I'm not don't take that for granted. Of course, I want to put that up in my house. But yeah, going back to that ankle injury, I think not many people know, but that was a 6 to 8 week thing. I think it was it was a grade 3 sprain. It was a really bad ankle sprain. I should have been out for 6 to 8 weeks, and the team couldn't allow that. Like, I just couldn't be out for 6 to 8 weeks. We already were down Toddy.
Yep.
It's in the middle of June. Like, all these games were important to us, and you could see it at the end of the season. Like, it came down to 1 or 2 games. So, for me, it was like, hey, like, I don't care about my stats. I want to make the postseason run, like, even if I'm at 50%, I want to be on that field. And I was out there limping for a whole year, for like half the year. For that whole month that I came back, my numbers took a hit.
Yep.
I was at 360. I dropped 100 points. My average went down, my homers went down, my strike rates went up. I just couldn't land on that foot. I was playing literally on 1 foot, and I didn't care. I took a hit for the MVP. I knew I could have sat down. Hey, I'm gonna go on the DL. And
yeah, no, we've said it before. If you had sat for 3 weeks or a month, you would have won the MVP. You probably would have won it going away.
My numbers would have stayed there, and selfishly, yeah, I would have loved that. But I don't think the team, we wouldn't have been, and the city wouldn't have been where we were at today because of that situation. I'm not saying it was all because of me or anything, but I just couldn't do it for the team. I had to go out there and perform and try to win some games, even if I wasn't, and we did. If I could make one play that would make a difference in the game, I did it. Or if it was one at bat or one walk that I had to take to put the pressure on the pitcher to make an at bat for the next guy to step up, and people did that, and we stepped up and we carried each other, and it was all about the team, and and obviously it took a hit on my MVP status, and I didn't care at that point. It was about making the postseason run, and I think I'll never forget that moment where we beat the Dodgers and we moved on to the next series, and we fell short to the Phillies, and I think that was the most important part.
What did you learn about yourself? And what did you learn about this team? I mean, the Phillies were good. They really were. We kind of ran into a buzzsaw a little bit, just like the Dodgers did when they ran into you guys. I mean, what did you learn about this team? What they're made of and what they're capable of.
I think that was a big part of beating the Dodgers there. I mean, they've defeated us for years. I mean, even before I was here. So I think we've always had the team. We just couldn't get over that hump. And, finally last year we did that. And I think, it's going to be a little bit different. We know they're a good team, and, we still got to go past them and do it. But we're, we got excuse me, a lot of new faces here. So, but I think getting over that hump and getting into that postseason helped us out big time with the confidence, just knowing that we can get there, we can get past this, we can get to where we really want to get to, as long as we just stick together as a team and continue doing the right things.
Manny, I know this isn't your favorite part of the job, but you said you're going to opt out at the end of this season. And on the record, we both said it's a smart decision, and you have a responsibility to your fellow baseball players as well with the market as it is, to do that. But there are some fans out there who are going to, they're going to maybe misread it or not understand. I want to give you just the opportunity here, in your own words, to Padres fans listening back home in San Diego, to kind of explain your thinking and what this process is going to be like for you this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a hard decision for me and my family, but it's not about myself or about anything. Some people might say, oh, he just wants the money. No, I mean, we love San Diego. We have a home there. We love this organization. We love the way things have been moving around here and going in the right direction. I think, but at the end of the day, sometimes business is business, and, I think it wouldn't be in my justice if I, the market's changed in 5 years.
It
It really
year.
in 1 year it's changed. I mean, you see it in life. You see it in the real world. Let's take away baseball, right?
Sure.
I mean,
It's
price of
changed.
eggs is
Yeah,
how much?
things have
Right?
changed.
Price
Yeah.
of eggs goes up. Price of Manny Machado
I mean,
goes
it's
up.
just not in that way, but it's just it's just life. Things change. A lot of things change, and ultimately, the market's changed, right? And you see the offers that are being offered out there, and I'll be 36 at the time that I my contract will be over, and I still have
Well, you just
5
said
more years.
five
I want
more years
I
at
want to play
least.
till I'm at least 42,
Yeah.
like Nelly, and I mean, at that point it's about milestones. It's about maybe getting into the Hall of Fame, putting up those final numbers.
Sure.
And and at the end of the day, we play for 20 years, and that's all we got,
That's
and
it.
then after that, we're 42 years old. We got a whole life. Like, what are we going to do at that point? So, I think going back to the question is, what am I going to do for a Merrill? My decision that I'm making today is not just obviously it's going to impact myself, but it's going to be a big impact on Merrill,
Yeah.
on Salas, on these young kids that are coming up in this organization, or the young kids that are coming up all around the league. Like, this market is going to continue to go up. If I take a bad deal or someone takes a bad deal, then, things go down and it trickles right back down. So I think we got to stand up for not just for ourselves, obviously, but, for the guys coming up behind us and stand up for this union that we have as baseball players, that we got to stick together and do what's right for everyone else. Because it's not, obviously, yes, it's going to impact us tremendously and our families and the generations to come, but it's also about the players coming up throughout the league and the younger guys.
Well, we wanted you to know from Ben and Woods. Obviously, we want you to stay. We do have an extension here that you may be interested in, and we've worked this up, and we've all signed it. It's a best friends for life contract
Love
extension.
this.
So,
Okay, all right.
It just
Appreciate
assures that no matter if you stay or if you go,
We can get Dan on the phone if you want him to run through the
If you
legal
need to send it
leads
to
and
legal,
anything. But yeah,
but we've had
Let me
it
see. I
approved.
mean, this is pretty
It's pretty
straightforward.
straightforward.
Mhm.
Pretty straightforward.
Just no
I like
matter
that.
what happens, we're all
Yeah.
best friends
Appreciate
for
that.
life.
Love
and
that.
we've
Love
got
that. Look.
ink to paper,
Signed.
and extension has been signed.
it's done.
Love
The
that.
extension
That's
has,
it.
Perfect.
has been officially signed on the Ben and Wood
Appreciate
Show.
that.
Manny, thank you so much for
No
stopping
problem.
by.
Yes,
As
thank you,
always,
man.
great luck this season. We're
Appreciate
looking for
it, guys.
another fantastic, fun year with San Diego Padres baseball.
We wanted
Appreciate
some.
it.
We wanted some breaking news on our
Yeah,
show.
well,
This
we got
week,
it now.
and we just got it.
Yeah.
So best friends for
You
life.
got it. Maybe some more to come. Who knows?
Maybe. I like that. I like that.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
Manny
you.
Machado with us here. We're going to take a time out, react to everything we just heard. Amazing stuff with Manny. It's been such a great few days here at Padres Spring Training, and we still have more to come, including we've got Josh Hader stopping by. Blake Snell should be here a little bit later as well, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. we are lifetime friends with Manny Machado. I mean, the possibilities are endless, guys.
Jet skiing down in Miami in
Yeah,
the summer.
I think we need to do a golf trip
Mhm.
with Manny, maybe annual golf trip with
Three
Manny.
of us, Manny.
Mhm.
Yeah, can do that.
A lot of dinners.
Would you let
and,
Manny have the big room?
lunch together. Yeah, Manny can have the big room.
He's like,
obviously,
hey, guys, I got the Airbnb. Let's whack it up 4 ways.
Yeah, we'll
it's
put Manny in the bunk
it's
bed.
$27,000 a piece, and I got us all locked in. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he might need to foot a little more of the bill if we're going to go somewhere really, really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's part of the responsibility of being a highly paid professional athlete. That was a lot of fun.
That was amazing.
I thought Manny I thought he explained everything really well.
I would venture to say that's the best that I've certainly that we've done with him, and that's one of the best that I've heard with him. He was very open, very honest, and I love what he said about last year. Like, we knew about him playing on one leg, and in fact, I had told our audience, if you missed it, I ran into his wife at Petco Park, and she told me the treatment that he was getting on his leg. Paulie, weren't you with me? It was like multiple hours a day just so he could get out and go play when he was injured.
Yeah,
it was like
4 hours,
4 to 6 hours a day.
He already shows up so early before the games. He was showing up like 2 or 3 hours early, earlier than that, and just getting a ridiculous amount of treatment. You remember the drive he took from here to LA?
To LA.
Didn't get on the plane.
So it wouldn't swell.
Think of Patrick Mahomes and what they had to do to get him onto the field for the AFC Championship and then the Super Bowl. Just 2 games, and one of them 2 weeks apart. Manny had to do that essentially every single day to get out onto the field.
That's what people forget. And it's really convenient to forget that when you want to talk about, he's just about this or just about that. Man, that dude wanted to be on the field. He knew how important it was to be on the field, and I will always respect him for that. That is fantastic.
I also okay, let's get our next guest sitting down. This is someone we've never gotten a chance to meet or talk to.
Doing, Josh?
I'm Woods. Ben. This is Woods. This is our producer Paul. This is Hannah Woods and their son Bo. And joining us right now here at Padres Spring Training in Peoria is Padres closer Josh Hader. Josh, you got the mic right there. Just hold it up kind of close, and we should be good to go. Welcome. It's good to meet you finally.
Yeah, good to meet you guys. Appreciate you having me on. Finally getting some sun, so you guys are heating up a little bit.
Yeah, we were a little cold the first few days out here, but this is much, much nicer.
It was it's such a and I'm telling one of the things when you all the bats walk in, right? All the bats every day, Fernando and Manny and Xander Bogaerts, and then you walk by on day one, I go, we got Josh Hader. Josh Hader is still a Padre, everybody, and it sort of tripped us up when he got here. And how you rebounded last year, man, was a special thing to watch. Walk us through that kind of feeling of when it wasn't going so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing was just making sure you trust your process and trust what you're doing. Making sure, that was probably one of the worst times that I've gone through something like that, right? So when you're going through something like that as a player, you tend to lose confidence. You tend to lose, are you doing the right things, right? And I knew I was doing the right things. It's just really for me, how can I stay focused, ease the mind, and not try and do too much?
How do you focus, but also don't think? That's kind of one of the tricks of the trade is I need to be really, really focused to execute these really dangerous hitters. But I also can't get in my own head too much. It's kind of like golf. There's some of that in the game of golf too. But how does one do that?
Yeah, really it's just focusing on one pitch at a time. I think that's the biggest thing for me, and controlling what you can control. Ultimately, when you start worrying about everything else, you lose track of what you really got to do. And the simple thing is execute the one pitch at that time. Don't think about the pitch before or after, and just focus on that one pitch.
Josh, I know you've been one of the top closers for the last few years. We haven't had the opportunity to watch you as up closely as we did last season, but in the playoffs, especially those last few appearances and innings, do you feel like that's about as locked as you've been? I'm a lifelong Padres fan, and the moment that Freddie Freeman just went flailing, just like one of the greatest moments I've ever seen. What was the feeling like just to be locked in the postseason like that?
Yeah, the postseason is a different breed. I think it brings out the best in players, right? And for me personally, that's why you play this game, is to get all the way to the end. And the motivation between having the crowd that we had, support us to that playoff push, and just the team that we had, we clicked. Obviously, when we first came in, the team pretty much came cut in half and flipped up.
Yeah.
So just to kind of work through that, really get to know each and every guy and just enjoy that process. And then obviously get into the postseason. That was it's just a different breed. It's fun to play baseball when it means something like that.
And it seems, so we're talking to Josh Hader here up in Woods this morning. It seems, and we read body language and we watch videos of you guys, and it seems like you're pretty happy here in San Diego. And you're definitely a guy. If I was building the team, I'd want at the back end of my bullpen for as long as he wanted to be here. Have there been any talks, or is it too early to start thinking about what's next for Josh Hader?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really had too many discussions. Obviously, we just agreed on the arbitration deal, which was a huge part of the process. But, love it here. So, if whatever comes out of that, we'll figure it out. But right now, for me personally, just focusing on the season, getting ready, and, put us into another postseason and, win the World Series.
Win a chip. Yeah, absolutely.
I know hitters like to come up with a lot of swagger and act like tough guys, but I've got to imagine, especially for lefties, they got to be secretly fairly terrified to be stepping in against you. As hard as you throw and the angle that you come at, that can't be fun at all. Do you try to take advantage of that and feel like maybe I can be a little intimidating on the mound?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just there's like an alter ego when I get on that mound, and it's just like, be a savage in a sense where, you're the best out here, and you just do it. Like at the end of the day, like lefty, righty, it doesn't really matter.
Are you going to work that changeup in more this year? Because you threw that one. There was one changeup last year that was like the dirtiest pitch I think I'd ever seen in my entire life to case somebody. I can't remember who it was, but it was in a really, really big moment. Is that something you're going to try to work in a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge pitch for me going in this year. I think
that was like who was that? That was
it just depends. It was there was a few of them. I know Taylor threw one to Taylor in the postseason. Veerland maybe, but if it was in the regular season, I think we might have been playing Seattle to finish the game.
Yeah. And it was like 3-2, and it just and
fouled off.
Yep. I said, forget it, dude. Yeah. I mean, if that you add that to the arsenal, and those guys know that, oh God, he could pull the string on me at any time, I'm a dead man. I mean, you just walk up there defeated. So that's good to hear that's going to be added into the pitch mix a little bit. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
A lot of talk about the Padres lineup and how loaded it is, the starting rotation with Joe and you and Blake and some new additions. But talk about the other guys in the bullpen. You get to work with Robert Suarez, Luis Garcia,
Tim Hill.
What they did in the last year, Tim Hill. Steven Wilson, nasty guy. I mean, you got a pretty good pen down there.
Absolutely, we do. And
Pomeranz maybe coming back.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a stacked bullpen and pitching staff in general, right? And I think the cool thing about all of this process is that we bounce things off each other's heads when we're getting together. When we're in batting practice during the season, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of great guys that have done a lot of great things in this game that you can learn from and maybe add to your game. So I think that's the biggest thing is like the personalities, one, top-notch guys, two, obviously the pitching standpoint of it. I mean, these guys are beasts. And obviously in the bullpen, we call it like the dog pound type deal where we're just a bunch of dogs and we take the ball and just get outs and just do our thing.
Who's the funniest guy down there?
Tim, man.
Tim Hill?
I love Tim.
Why did I even ask that question? I didn't need to ask that question.
I got it. Like the nicest guy's got to be Nabil.
I love Tim.
Seems like
Nabil's. He's super nice. Yeah. He's always talking and having a good time. He makes sure that there's always life down there.
Keep it a little bit loose.
Yeah, he keeps it loose.
There. So one of the Padres special instructors who is out here in spring training happens to know a thing or two about closing games.
And change-ups, by the way.
Hall of Fame for doing it. Obviously having this off season, how much work have you done with Trevor Hoffman? What has he kind of been able to share with you you're already at such a high level, but you always pick the brain of a guy who's done it so well like he has.
Absolutely. He's one of the best to do it, right?
Yeah.
And, just to have that opportunity to be able to see him as often as we get to is special. I haven't really got to pick his brain too much this year. Last year when I was kind of going through some things, we kind of talked, and I think just it was huge on the aspect of like he's done it, he's been there, he knows that this game isn't easy, but he made it look easy. But he just kind of kept it simple and just kind of helped me get through that process, and which is huge, just to be able to have that kind of communication and open dialogue. I mean, that's what you can hope for, and always thankful for that opportunity.
Talking to Josh Hader here on Ben and Woods. Last one for me. Has Bob kind of let you know how do you kind of get ready if you're a closer? Do they want to put you in a closing situation? Is that important to you? I've never actually thought about how they work in a closer in spring training.
Yeah, typically what we try to do is obviously early on make sure that all the pitches are commanding right. Moving on to that, get a few reps in, just get that game feel. Obviously the intensity bumps up a little bit more when you get into a game like feel, and then work into like a 3 of 5, and then kind of work into a back-to-back towards the end. So it's just more of just getting the reps and making sure that your body's bouncing back through each day, and get that recovery just so your body can get used to that. So when you do go back-to-back, or you have to go 3 out of 5, your body's not in shock like what's going on.
I have to ask before you go, just because I brought it up on the air so many times. I was so bummed you didn't get into the one of those last couple of games against the Phillies. They were always waiting for that last moment. The pitch that Suarez threw to Bryce Harper. I mean, how did he not swing at that changeup there at the end? Such a nasty pitch. One of
the best pitches of the season, man.
Yeah,
and really, the one that Harper hit out was
not a bad
pitch at all. Outer half, down low, and sometimes the guy just on the other end is good too.
Absolutely. That's the tough part about this game is sometimes you're on the high end, sometimes you're on the low end. I've been on both sides. And, as a player, you just you got to chalk it up and not look too deep into it, right? I mean, we're all at this game. We're all the best to do it. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I think ultimately you can learn from those mistakes. Not that he made a mistake at all, but I'm just saying in the sense of like, what I know when I gave up a bomb to Freddie in the playoffs to Atlanta, and I made a mistake, and to get that kind of redemption was huge. And and for Suarez, at the end of the day, like he was our guy, he was our number.
So good,
he was the guy that we could always rely on, and it just happened to be that way. I don't think there was a wrong move on any part of it. Obviously, it's easier to look back and say, what ifs?
Yeah.
But he swings at that changeup. We're not talking about that, right?
Yeah, not at all.
So, you just gotta chalk it up at the end of the day, and appreciate the run that we did go on, and the work that every guy put in to get us to the position that we were at.
Well, San Diego definitely appreciated the run. I've never seen anything like it. It was the whole city came together, and I would expect it to be double this year. I mean, and I know for you guys, the expectations are through the roof. They're the top of the chain. One of the few teams that can say we have the talent to win a World Series. That's probably best friend.
This year, the fans showed up for Fan Fest, obviously starting that off like at the highest point you can possibly go. And just to be able to move along for the season and just know that they're going to, sell out for us and be there for us, and know that we got a long journey ahead of us to do what we want. It's going to take, all efforts around to get to where we need to be, which is it's going to be exciting.
Well, Josh, good luck this season. I mean, I think the only problem that potentially you'll have is that with this lineup, there's not going to be that many 3-run leads or less in the ninth inning.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, good problem to have, man. But I'm excited to watch this lineup just do work and just see what unfolds. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic year for us.
That's good to meet you. Thank you so much.
Good to meet you guys. Appreciate you.
Josh Hader, Padres closer, going to get to a full season of him. Get to enjoy that. And I was thinking 50, 60 saves, but then I was also thinking, with this lineup, it's going to be sometimes tough to keep that lead to 3 or less in the ninth inning.
Well, we say that, we say that, and how
Bob's going to have to just get him some work a few times during the year after a nice little run of 4 wins by 6 or 7 runs in a row.
Sometimes the biggest outs you can get are in the 7th inning. Sometimes the biggest outs you can get are the 7th and 8th inning, and might see some employment of a Josh Hader there too. But yeah, I mean, will any of us ever forget the 3 up, 3 down against the Dodgers ever? I'll never.
It was incredible.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was.
And to go from where he was, I think his ERA in August was like 19.
Yeah.
And then to be as untouchable as any pitcher has ever looked in the postseason.
Elite.
Was quite the turnaround for Josh Hader last year.
Just as elite as it gets.
Let's take a time out. We are not done yet. We still have Blake Snell going to join us at some point here later in the show. And who knows who might stop by. I know Don Orsillo's supposed to be in the house today.
Where is that guy?
I got those donuts to try to lure him over here. We'll see if it works at some point as we're going until 10 o'clock this morning. And then Padres baseball at 1:05 against the Seattle Mariners from the Peoria Sports Complex with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
97.3 The Fan, and it's stunning day out here at the Peoria Sports Complex. Somebody's doing some jackhammering, but other than that, it's about as perfect as you can get.
I just had to put on some sunscreen for the first time, which is actually a good feeling. Make sure my face doesn't fry in our last few hours out here. So we just had Manny Machado and Josh Hader on. Fantastic.
This is really happening.
Jackhammering. I mean, this is a good time to carve up the parking lot, and
they're putting up a tent of some sort. Big as.
I think it's Big AZ, like Arizona.
That's Big as.
Big AZ.
Big as tents and events, and he is literally swinging
it's
a
sledgehammer. It's the postal abbreviation for the state of Arizona.
Yeah,
AZ.
Big as.
Big AZ.
I do love a big as. Did you guys catch at the very end of Manny's interview with us? You guys caught that, right?
Caught it. Yeah.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Let's talk about it right now.
Let's talk about it right now. He said, "Yeah, he signed the lifetime extension with Ben and Woods to remain best friends forever." And at the end, he goes, "Yeah, maybe some more coming too." So that got me a bit titillated and excited.
Huh. I did not.
Did you not catch that?
I did not catch
Oh my
that.
God! Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got to go back and listen and watch.
Right.
And he goes,
I mean,
maybe some other things coming too. So
that
that
you've
Frank,
said
if you're back in the studio, if you got that interview, it was right there at the end.
it bodes well.
Let us know when you got
I'm
it.
curious because you said before that you wanted to play a hand of poker against Manny.
I do,
because he's got a lot of great attributes, but a poker face is not necessarily one of them. He's got that wry smile that sometimes gives away a little more information off the field, at least, than maybe he wants to. And was that his poker face just cracking just a little bit?
I feel like it was
at the end of the interview.
I'm surprised you missed it.
I did,
but yeah,
I heard it immediately. I was like,
and I went, okay, I got to make sure to come back to that for sure. So I love to hear that, man, and if we can get that out of the way. It's gonna zip the lips of a lot of people, I think, and then you just go into the season feeling really, really confident. Not that we don't already. The lineup is out.
Yes, we're gonna tease that. Bob Melvin has already thrown us a curveball in the very first lineup of spring training. We'll get to that.
That Bob Melvin
in just a second. First, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Replace your afternoon coffee with a 5 Hour Energy. It's perfect when you're feeling coffeeed out and your stomach will thank you. Discover 5 Hour Energy. Learn more at 5hourenergy.com. So, yeah, the first thing that stands out, and by the way, it doesn't look like a spring training lineup. It looks like you could throw this out.
Got a lot on his plate today as he's slotted in to play right field and first base.
That's a good point as well. So there may be some changes still coming.
Did Adam
on
make this lineup?
We'll get to the lineup. Maybe after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Kelly Danick.
A couple things to watch out for here, guys. Looks like a vehicle over the side on the Genesee on-ramp to eastbound 52, so just take it extra carefully there. Also on westbound 8, just past Lake Murray,
here's a little bit.
in middle lanes. Northbound side of the 805 past 47th Street. Reports of a scout vehicle does not appear to be blocking lanes. I'm Kelly Danick, Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Yes, so the first lineup that we were given, you're right, it contained what must be an error, unless there are two Brandon Dixons here that I'm not aware of, because he was listed in 2 spots. But I did just see a push from MLB with the lineup card submitted, and this is probably the real one. So you ready for it?
Lay it on me, dude.
All right, leading off, shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Batting second at third base, Manny Machado.
Okay.
After we just talked to him, and he said, yeah, third, that's where I've been. Bob Melvin said, yeah, he's a third. He hits third. He's hitting second today. Batting third in left field, Juan Soto.
Okay.
The guy who said, second.
He loves
he's definitely,
to hit second.
Bob Melvin said he's going to hit second probably. No, he's hitting third today.
That guy.
Cleaning up the designated hitter, Nelly Cruz, the boomstick, batting fifth at second base, Sung Yum. Batting sixth in right field, Brandon Dixon.
Okay.
Doing the catching and batting seventh, Luis Campusano.
Wow.
Playing first base and batting eighth, A. Rivas.
Okay.
And then batting ninth center field, Jose Azocar.
All right.
With Nick Martinez on the mound. So replace Dixon at first with Rivas, so there's not 2 Dixons in the lineup.
Do we know, and they're playing the Mariners, do we have a Mariners lineup?
I have not seen a Mariners lineup, but if I do, we will certainly pass that one along. But I mean, who's not in there? Obviously, Tatis.
Yep.
They said they're going to bring him along slowly. Probably will play at some point in the first week, but not this first weekend. Jake Cronenworth, who said he'll be in the lineup tomorrow.
I said, "Oh, second team, huh? Already?" He goes, "Yeah, that's what happens when you sign half the damn league." I love that guy. I see now what my wife sees in him. That Jake Cronenworth.
If you want to go back to what Manny said at the end of his interview.
Oh, we got it. All right, we got the audio.
All right, here we go. We wanted some breaking news on our show.
We got it now.
We just got it.
Yeah.
So, best friends for
You
life.
got it. Maybe some more to come.
Maybe some more to come.
I like that. Maybe some more to come.
Maybe some more to come. Maybe some more to come. Maybe some more to
Just a
come.
little subtle drop there from Manny Machado.
With that smile on his face, I don't know. It's good things. Good things.
Now, generally what happens is if there is gigantic news, we'll have been here all week, just like we were at winter meetings.
Yep.
And then like a few minutes after we're done, they'll sign Xander Bogaerts.
Right.
So my guess is like as soon as we get all the junk loaded
Packed
into the
up.
cars and we pull out of the lot, that's when some potential gigantic news will break. And thank us for leaving, because if we stayed, it would never happen. We could be here every morning for the rest of spring, and
it would
there
happen
be no
on a
big
Saturday
news.
or something.
But
yeah.
if we leave, that usually sparks it to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah, that bodes
after
well.
that.
That bodes well.
All of our coverage here at Spring Training, of course, has been brought to you by Mattress Makers, natural handcrafted mattresses. Pay a visit to their shop. We did so. They're in La Mesa, right there in old downtown La Mesa. We had people walking in off the street, lying down on the mattresses. They've got all kinds of different firmnesses. They've got the one that the one that tilts and lifts up, and it's pretty cool what they've got there.
We got a tweet from one of our tier ones last night asking us what was that place again? And they wanted to go and grab a pillow on their own. So you like to see when it works with the sponsors. We couldn't be out here without them, so we really, really appreciate it.
Speaking of Manny Machado, they have been unveiling the MLB top 100 players ranking going into the 2023 season. They got to the end of the list yesterday. And Manny Machado checked in as the highest-ranking Padre at number 5.
Love that, man.
In all of Major League Baseball. It seems almost like it's too low for Manny Machado. There's no way you can be insulted by being declared one of the top 5 players in all of baseball. But there's also room, I think, for Manny to go up. I mean, he's got the kind of talent that, there might be a spot or two higher for him in the future if he has another great season like he did last year.
Yeah, you just wonder, what it's going to look like with this top 4, top 5, even top 6 at times with this lineup, Benny. I mean, if you're an opposing pitcher, how do you navigate through it? Who's going to benefit most from it, right? I mean, lineup protection. I know people try to write it off. It's such a real thing. I mean, it is such a real thing. And to have the guys behind him and the guys in front of him, you just wonder. You wonder who's going to come out with the best numbers of the big 4, let's call them, this year. I mean, they really could be some staggering offensive numbers for this team.
Juan Soto checked in at number 12.
That feels low.
Fernando Tatis Jr. was number 26. Obviously,
he'll be rocketing up after the season.
He could go up a lot higher. Xander Bogaerts was at number 32 on that list. So if you were curious where all the top Padres checked in the 100 best players in baseball, so that's 4 in the top 40 right there for your San Diego Padres.
I love it, man. I love it. These are really, really good things. Those lists are arbitrary. Unless, you have a lot of your guys on them, then they're really good.
Yeah. Joe Musgrove was I think the only other one on the top 100. Yu Darvish, 95, Joe Musgrove, 96.
How about Josh Hader?
Right there at the end.
Not in the top 100?
Josh Hader? Could I have missed Josh Hader as I was going through that list? If I did, I apologize. I certainly would consider him to be one of the best closers in baseball.
I can't see anything because of the glare.
It's so glare. That's why I might have missed it as well. But the top 5 was Manny Machado at number 5. And then number 4 was Mookie Betts. Number 3, Mike Trout.
Okay.
Number 2, Aaron Judge. And number 1, Shohei Ohtani. How would you shuffle those at all in your mind?
I'd give you Ohtani 1. I'd go Ohtani 1. I'd go Manny ahead of Judge. I'd go Manny ahead of. I feel like Judge is going to have a downish year. It's going to be hard not to after 62 bombs, but I don't know.
Very little precedent to say how a guy bounces back after
from
a season like that.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, he's a great player.
The thing with Mike Trout is if he has a full healthy season,
He's one of the best.
he's probably number one.
No, Shohei's going to be one.
A season like last year, though.
Two, he does both.
I think he's probably too high on the list after the season he had last year. And the value that Manny brings of his durability and playing through injuries, something that not necessarily everyone in that top 10 can say.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's factored in as highly as it should be when people come up with those rankings. It's a skill that is often overlooked and underappreciated, especially by fans and the media. I think inside a clubhouse, it's valued incredibly highly. A coaching staff, it may be the thing that they value the most in a player is their ability to go out there. They call it posting, being out there, 157, 158 games during the season, playing through bumps and bruises and sometimes even more serious injuries like ankle sprains that would keep other guys out a month and a half or more like Manny Machado did. So we don't think about it. They think about it a lot behind these closed doors.
No question. Paulie, so we're going to go to break here in a couple minutes. Bob Melvin's going to come out and do his scrum. Do we have any more interviews set up or are we done? Just Blake?
Blake Snell.
Okay.
He's kind of waiting on
his schedule
of morning workouts and everything like that, but he's locked in, and then that's about it.
Okay. All right.
Player wise.
But yeah, we could still, maybe if we could see a Don or Mud or somebody.
I'm told they may not be here before the end of our show.
Oh, okay. Maybe getting to the ballpark a little late. That's fine.
Whenever we do have guests, they always appear on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Yeah, see Tony Gwynn Jr. here. Going to be calling a game with Jesse Agler this afternoon here on 97.3 The Fan. It'll be the first time this year we get to hear them together. It'll be the first of, well, let's see. If you expect a World Series run,
woo, mama,
162 games plus around 30 plus spring training games. I mean, we're talking well over 200 broadcasts for Jesse and Tony between now and maybe early November.
A couple days off in there, but yeah, for the most part, they're going to be there for 95% of games called on the radio, and that's why we love it, man.
There's Jesse as well. So they are the radio crew is here and set to go. The scrum is about to happen, so we'll get a little news from Bob Melvin on that first lineup. Why he was doing the head fake with us the last few days with the Juan Soto and Manny Machado lineups, and we'll come back with more Ben and Woods second half of the show next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Do the show, bitch.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on a Friday. Going to keep the voice down a little bit. Bob Melvin's doing his scrum right now, and I can see some very familiar faces. I see Mudcat over there. I see Don Orsillo, who looks fantastic, by the way.
Open up the box of donuts, and
I told him
it'll waft over.
I told him we've got donuts over here, and Don Orsillo has been he's tough. He's a tough get. Tony Gwynn Jr. Has arrived here as well. He said he would jump on with us at some point. Let me say goodbye to my family. The lure of waffles at the hotel is too
there's nothing
great.
better than waffles at the hotel where you get to pour the batter into the machine
and
yourself,
flip it
and then turn it over. Yeah,
he got to meet.
It's a delight of travel.
He got to see Musgrove and Soto and Manny, and that's really what he wanted to see. Yeah, he walked by. He
remember,
said hi.
And you were trying to show him your chain as he walked away.
That's right.
You got to see him this morning. Yeah.
Can you say what's up, San Diego? Say
what's up?
Say shout out.
He's frozen.
Frozen. Right. Have fun. We love you. I'll see you back here.
Good to see you, Bo. And you too, Hannah.
Big gulps, huh?
You guys have a safe flight back while Paul and I drive.
You'll see him again.
Drive the treacherous, icy roads between Arizona and San Diego this afternoon.
God.
Love you guys.
We're not jealous at all of Woodsy.
Good job.
In your flight back today.
Bye, loves. Have fun.
It's going to be I was looking, it's going to be wet, a lot of rain. I don't know that especially if we go through the desert and take the 10 instead of going around the way we came in. The way we came in looked like it was the middle of Colorado.
I know you know how to drive in the rain. You're from Seattle, and I feel actually fairly comfortable in it.
Well, it's fine when you go 15 miles under the speed limit.
It's not yourself that you have to worry about.
It's
the other people on the roadway that you can't control that can sometimes be a problem.
Guys like me.
Yes.
You're taking the same route as me. We're going to take 10 west through like Palm Springs, and then
that's my plan. I mean, I'll check road
Diego.
Conditions before I leave just to see what's recommended. But I'm bummed that I won't get to stop. I usually like to stop in Yuma and pick up a bunch of bean and cheese burritos from Mr. G's or the Chili Pepper on the way back, and then you can get them home and freeze them, and they're like the best microwave burritos later. This is the little ones. They're different than the San Diego style,
which
I love.
We had them last time. They're really
good. Tasty, but if I go around the long way, obviously there's no stop in Yuma on that road.
Me and Paulie have put it into the rotation. That's kind of the plan when we come out for fantasy camp and all that. By the way, did you see the email, Paulie? Fantasy camp registrations are they're open. So if you've heard us talk about it, I know you have.
It's for returning campers right now.
Okay, returners.
And then I believe next week or within the next couple of weeks, it will be open. There's
limited spots.
I mean, they had 64 guys out there this year, and they're not expanding the camp by a ton.
Right.
And most people that go once, they come back every year. So there will be a limited amount of spots, but we told the team, we'll be happy to let everybody know when registration is open.
Yeah, just be watching. Be watching if you're signed up for.
I know it's hard for
emails.
You guys when you come back for spring training. You usually have the run of this place.
It's different. It's
during
different.
fantasy camp. We're a little more. They keep us away from the key areas during spring training.
Just walk into the cafeteria and start grabbing food.
Yeah. Clubhouse is only open for a few minutes in the morning to media. Otherwise, it's players only. The training room is certainly off limits. It's all media. You can't go in there. But when you're in fantasy camp, you get to act like a player, and you get to go
you really
in the building and do everything the players get to do out here.
Yeah, you really do. It's a special time.
Did you get to use the indoor cages in here when you were? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when it was raining and stuff,
when it was raining,
you throw off those bullpens that they throw off.
Just the same ones that we saw Blake and Joe throwing off.
You play in the stadium. I mean, it's second to none, my friends. Second to none.
Very exciting. So we talked a little bit with Bob Scanlon yesterday when he joined us about Cole Hamels, who is not going to appear in any spring training games, according to Cole Hamels himself. He said it's going to come along a little bit slowly, maybe a couple of months later. But also saw a story yesterday about Ryan Weathers and his progress and coming back. And he's looked a little different this spring. I think there's a little more confidence there. And he said yesterday in a piece in the UT that last year was a lot of trial and error for him. He went through the entire first half of the season basically changing grips like almost every single start to try to figure out what was going to work for him. And, so You know, I'm excited.
look
Oh,
who-
now I'm really excited.
Oh my God!
Look who
It's
is
happening, everybody!
here.
Oh my God! It is finally happening. This is unbelievable. This is a banner day on Ben and Woods. This is a banner day on Ben and Woods, everybody. I can't believe this.
Well, first of all,
Oh my God!
There it is.
first of all, it's nice to be invited. I've never been invited.
Oh my
before.
God!
I check like all the time with Eric Meyer, who's
Yeah.
the VP of broadcasting.
Oh, he hasn't been passing along our
And I'm
weekly
like,
requests.
Hey, what's the deal with Ben and Woods? Like, they not like me or something? I mean, like, I would really like to be on their show. And I mean, because I'm an early morning person.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get early
Early
in the
guy.
mornings. You know, I get
Yeah.
a jump start. I usually run. Like
Yeah, get it.
6 a.m. So then I get back, have some coffee, and I listen to the show.
Yeah, of
every
course.
day.
Who
And I
doesn't?
just
Right?
keep waiting for the phone to ring and say, "Hey, would you go on with those guys?" And it just never seems to materialize. I don't know.
In
What's the
reality,
deal?
he's the only fisherman in the world who goes out at 11 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
and that's why he never catches anything.
Don't catch anything midday. I don't know why that is. With the tide going out too.
The good news
Yeah.
is now that you're here, and I'm sorry, the messages must have been lost.
Yeah.
How about a weekly? Every
Yeah.
week, Ben and Woods. It's
Wow.
right there for you.
I would love that.
Yeah,
You
just
got to
pass
get
it
a
along
hold of
through.
Eric
Yeah,
Meyer
yeah,
with the
we'll just pass
Padres
it along.
to try to get that set up. You know,
He's got it.
but
He's got his third man, Eric Meyer, just the wall, just blocking.
I spent a lot of time offended, and then I got over it. I went through a couple of different stages where first I was like mad. I'm like, do they not like me? Do
Yeah.
they not? What is it? What is it exactly? And now I'm just kind of over it, and just hope to be on the show as much as possible.
Well, that's kind of always our goal as well.
Yeah.
To have as much Don Orsillo in our ears as we can get. Well, first of all, I'll start the interview with the fact that you look fantastic.
Yes, you do.
Thanks, brother.
What'd you do?
I appreciate it. I dropped about 24 lbs.
Wow. How
And
did you do it?
let's be honest. I needed to drop 24 lbs. Last year,
Who among us?
we traveled for the first time in 2 years.
Yep.
Because of COVID. We were doing games out of our booth at home when the team was on the road, both in 20 and 21. So it was a weird year from that perspective. But went back to traveling, and traveling is not great
It sucks.
for the diet.
You should see what we put. Me and Paulie in particular.
This week alone?
You should see what we've put
Yeah,
down.
well, that's the thing. It's
Disgusting.
eating late at night,
Yep.
eating on the charter, eating. So anyway, I finished the year at my highest weight that I've ever been. And so how did I do it?
Yeah.
Basically, I started running again.
Did you?
Which I was walking, but I wasn't running. And I started running the beach, and I cut out some tough things: bread, pasta, IPAs.
Oh
Wow.
my God! The
Yeah.
sacrifice.
So
It
don't get the donuts
was-
that I got for Don in particular. No longer
It was
keep
a
him away
struggle.
from him. He looks great. There's nothing for the pointer to point at.
No, I know.
Anymore.
The boiler right now it'll be back.
Now-
So trust me, within a week or two, we'll
Yeah,
be right back.
well,
where
you
we
know,
were.
and
Now,
then-
is there pressure on Mud now? Is there pressure on Mud because
I don't
like
think so.
if I drop 20 pounds, Ben would be mad.
yeah, it's
he would
true.
be
You
mad.
make me look
I
bad.
Yeah.
believe Mud likes being fat. I really do. I really do. I mean, the term fat and happy, I mean, he is both, so I don't think he thinks there's a problem.
Hey, don't fall to the crab mentality and let him pull you back down.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
you keep
He's already tried.
you keep shining.
He's on his third bowl of Lucky Charms over there right now. Sugar is not an issue.
Well, how excited are you to get started again? I know the broadcast schedule starts early today with
Yeah.
the first game. You guys got a bunch of spring training games on the schedule, probably because demand dictates it. There's so much interest in Padres baseball. It used to be okay. Yeah, we'll do 2 or 3 spring games, then we'll show up for opening day. Now it's like Padres fans would be mad if you guys
Yeah,
didn't
no
do
doubt.
at least a dozen games out here.
I am so excited to be doing this. I first of all, I'm honored, thrilled to be a part of what I think is, I guess, without question, the greatest period of Padres baseball history and what's going to be in the next few years here. Thanks to Peter Seidler. Thanks to so many people that have put this team together, and mainly Peter Seidler. But, it's unbelievable. I never knew San Diego could quite be like this. Last year, really the year before even, just the electricity at Petco Park was like nothing I could have ever imagined. And then you take it to a whole new level last year. the postseason. Mud and I went to the games. We didn't get the chance to do the games,
which is
but
awful for us.
We went. We had a blast. Peter invited us to his box.
Oh yeah, we saw everyone
was
cheering for you
really
guys
cool.
up there.
So good.
We took advantage of all the amenities and had a blast.
Woods and I were sitting there waving as well, but the camera never found us.
So. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, I don't know what to tell you on that one, but
Eric Myers.
Eric Myers.
Yeah.
He's the VP of broadcasting. But FanFest, I mean,
dude,
crazy.
I walked into FanFest and I came late. I had a thing with my son. It was his birthday, so showed up and I walked in. I saw this massive line back on the patio, and I go, well, that's got to be for Juan Soto. That's got to be for Manny Machado. I turn around it's Mud and Don and people, women as far as the eye could see.
It was for Mud.
Like it was Paul Stanley standing there signing autographs with his shirt off. It was unbelievable.
Well, it was amazing. I mean, we knew there were going to be a lot of people who came out, but it was just so much fun to see, and to see all the big stars be there as well. I mean, that said a lot to me, and they really appreciate the electricity at Petco Park and what the fans did in the postseason last year. Talking to Manny about it, I mean, it brought them to a new level.
No
so
doubt.
I mean, the fans made a big difference, and I think they will this year too.
We are talking finally, my God, to the great Don Orsillo here on Ben and Woods. So let's talk a little Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts. He is a guy you're very familiar with.
Yes, sir.
And we got a chance to meet him, sit down with him. Legend already, just an absolute legend. Is going to be a perfect fit here for what we're trying to do. You've had a chance, I'm sure, to talk to him a bunch, but what did you tell him?
So when he first signed here, I had the chance to do the presser.
Yep.
And I was downstairs after he'd signed the contract. We spent about half an hour together, and he basically said, "What did I just do? What did I sign up for?" He said, "I know what I saw in the playoffs last year. I know what I see from afar. But what is
Give
this?
me the real dirt."
Yeah. He was like, "What is this really like? What's the organization like? What's the ownership like? And I just gave it to them all, and I said, "Brother, you're in the right place at the right time." And I couldn't be happier that he's here. He broke in with my team in 2013, which was the last World Series ring that I got. And he was like, when he arrived, he was 19 and was, well beyond his years. I mean, he was a guy that I thought he was like, he acted like he was 30 and been in the big leagues a long time. So very mature, very smart, speaks 4 languages, is Aruban, grew up in Aruba, and just came in, not wide-eyed at all, just fit in. And the one thing that he did there was leadership to the max. He was getting guys like David Ortiz and some of the older veterans, the Dustin Pedroias, to kind of do things differently, which was different from a rookie. I mean, you don't ever see a rookie do that. And he did that, and he was able to get those guys because he got it. He got what we do. He gets what you guys do. Yep. He understands all that. He embraces it and takes it to a new level. So I'm excited about him being here as a person, number one. But number two, this guy is an all-star and a really good player. And now in the middle of this Padres lineup, I'm just thrilled to have him.
Don Orsillo is with us. Xander will be leading off in the first game today at the Peoria Sports Complex against the Mariners. Of course, a lot of the WBC guys are in there because they'll only be here for a few days or so, and then they're going to join their teams. Your thoughts on the WBC?
I'm excited about it. I really am. Let's be honest. The timing of it, not awesome. But I mean, when is a good time to have? I mean, first of all, I think the tournament itself is really cool, and I think it's a chance for major league players to represent their country, and that runs deep, and I think it's great for Major League Baseball. Now, that said, when you're trying to ramp up and get ready, all of a sudden you're ramping up a little earlier than you need to, especially the pitchers for me.
I know,
because the 6-week spring training thing is really for the pitchers. Now you got them redlining here very early, so that worries me. And always the number one concern for me going into spring training is health. How do you come out of it? Because your roster can change dramatically if you're not healthy come opening day at spring training. Now you're playing competitive games. I mean, these are high-level games. But I am excited to see it. It's going to be fun to watch for the baseball fan in me.
Turn around and look. Look at the table. You see the sun reflecting off that guy's head? And look what he's doing. You see him? He's digging in.
What am I missing?
He's digging in for another meal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. That is Lucky Charms Bowl number 4 by my count.
Digging in for another meal.
Yeah.
Hi, Mudley.
Do you and Mud have like some hand signals? How does that work? When you're broadcasting, you're trying to communicate with him, because we've tried to go for 5 years, and Woods just gave me one. I have no idea what he meant.
One of this?
Yeah.
I said I want to ask him about X.
Oh, is that
Xander.
what that was?
Xander.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I don't even know what he's doing over there. 5 years, and I don't
our
know.
sign language is pretty good. we get it down pretty good.
I'll do this one to Ben. I'll give him this one.
I'm still not sure what that means.
He knows what this means.
Yeah.
STFU.
No, we usually don't talk over each other for the most part, and I know when he's going to stop and when he's going to start. The only thing that he does have a little trouble with is letting me actually make a call without screaming over me. But that's fan mud that jumps out.
I would too, man.
So it
that would
happens
be so hard
all the
for
time.
me.
I'm okay with it. I really am.
Him
It's
in the
fun.
background,
Yeah, scream, pounding the desk.
I do that too.
That was Joe Musgrove no hitter. A lot of pounding of the desk.
Beating the desk.
Camarena grand slam. I'm not sure you even hear me, but that's cool. Whatever.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Just
it's
step
fine.
all over me.
It's
It's good.
It's fine. I
They're
still
gonna
get paid.
They're going to play your highlight montage in Cooperstown one day, and it's just going to be
fun.
Mud stepping all over you.
Like that. Yeah, there he is. And it's really good analysis. Like, he breaks it right down, from this expert former player analysis.
If I could get Rob Manfred alone in a room, I would tell him, listen, we got to get rid of blackouts in baseball, and you got to find a way to let our guys call our postseason. I know it's not possible. It takes we ride with you the whole season. I mean, we get to the same voices, and we are so used to it, Don. I can't tell you how crappy it is to get to those games. I'm like,
appreciate
oh,
that.
Cool, Joe Davis, just who I wanted to listen to. This is fantastic. I love this.
Well, it's hard for me because I've done 10 postseasons for Turner. So I come in and take somebody else's local broadcast job.
Yeah.
And I've been on the other side of that and a lot. And it's tough, but it pays really well.
Oh, I bet it does, man. I bet it does.
So I'm in a rock and a hard place there with it.
But it's like you guys work your ass off the whole year. You're traveling, and then the
best
payoff,
part of the year.
the best part of the year, and you're like, all right, I guess we'll watch from the owner's box, which
That's exactly
is
the
got to
case.
be tough.
It is tough.
Let's
It is
get
tough.
together in a big room
Yeah.
full of Padres fans and have you guys just call the game.
We could do. There were a lot of people that asked us to
We'll
do
get you paid.
FaceTime.
FaceTime.
Yeah.
We got cameras now on
Do
YouTube.
podcast, a running podcast
Something.
during the games.
I'm telling you, like, I need my fix so
we can
bad.
work it out.
All right, we'll figure it out.
I think that blackout thing is going away, though. I
yeah.
really do.
I
I mean,
think
that
it
is
is,
trending in that direction. There are some things that have to take place first, but I think MLB finally gets it that fans need to be able to stream in their own community.
I'd ask you about the whole Bally Sports thing, but I know that's not
I don't know
something
anything about
you do. People always say, "Ask Don what's going on." I go,
Yeah.
"Trust me, I'm in the business." He has no idea.
Here's the other thing.
They don't tell us
I don't
anything
work for
about
Bally either.
I know,
I'm a
and
Padres
you're just
employee,
on the
so we
TV.
really
you
know
don't
nothing.
you don't get to know what's
Yeah.
going on
We
with
just-
any of that.
We're going to show up every day to work and do the games, and we don't know where they'll be on or whatever, but we know what we're doing.
Because that's your job, and that's
Exactly.
what you're supposed to know. So stop
Exactly.
asking Don what's
No,
happening.
I don't know
He
anything.
doesn't know.
I don't
Bud
know much
doesn't
about
know.
the Padres. None of that.
Well, that's what spring training is for. Get out there and start doing your prep for the season.
I'm ready to go.
Nobody
Today's
does
day
it
one.
better.
Don,
Nobody
thank
does
you
it
so
better.
much.
You guys are the best.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
We will
Just have me on more often.
We will.
That'd be great.
We'll get that
Be cool.
weekly
We're
going.
going to put
Paulie,
that request
what's
into
the
Eric
deal?
Meyer
I
right
mean,
now. Yeah.
You have all my contact info, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got, he's got
It's
it.
weird.
I
My
think.
texts go
Yeah.
unanswered too
That's
sometimes.
funny.
It's very
Really?
strange. Yeah, it's very
Ah.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah, that's
No.
no, that's not it. So there we go.
That's the wrong number.
It's not the Boston area
That
code.
is-
What's
yeah.
that? Yeah.
That's the wrong number.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Now
No
we
wonder.
know.
No wonder.
I've been wanting to be on the show for
For
3 years.
for years.
Years.
I thought it was personal. I'm just glad to find out it's
No,
not. Okay,
I
good.
love the show.
Good. Of course. I appreciate
I love
it.
Ben and Woods.
No,
Yeah.
I said it.
hey,
I said it out loud.
Yeah, now we've got it forever.
Frankie, save that clip.
Yep.
Right.
Save it.
But we had Manny sign a lifetime friendship contract
Did you see this?
extension with Ben and Woods.
He
yeah.
did sign an extension.
Yeah, he signed
today.
an extension
Manny
with us
Machado.
With Ben and
today.
Woods.
Yeah,
Check
yeah,
it out.
There it is. It's legal.
Best friends lifetime.
Contracts. Yep.
Did he have his attorney look this
I
over?
said
No,
Dan
he just-
you can text it to Dan
just
if you
sign
want,
it.
but he
I
signed it.
agreed to remain best
Yeah.
friends
Yeah.
with Ben Higgins, Stephen Woods, and Paulie. Wow.
Yep. It's legal.
He
Signed
signed,
it.
and that is his signature.
That's
I
his
can
signature,
confirm
Yeah, we
that.
have
That
it
has
on
been
video. It has been
That is-
signed.
An
so.
extension has
That's
been
quite a
signed.
contract.
Isn't that great?
That's all.
Hey.
And there's copies.
We do
Yeah,
well.
there's
Yeah, we
copies.
wanted to make sure in case we spilled coffee on one of them or anything.
We can punch one up for you too.
Yeah,
if you like.
what I have to ask though? I mean, what is this best friends like? What are some of the?
We're going
criteria
jet
for
skiing later. you know?
Golfing, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And no matter what
Hanging out
happens,
at Manny's place.
wherever
In the
he
Notto?
goes, wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Unless of course it's LA. We're gonna have to rip that contract.
There's a
up,
wives' rider that our wives get to hang out with Yaine as
Nice.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. We may
Nick's
do.
great, by the
We
way.
She's
may
great.
be.
She's
Very
awesome.
nice.
We may do Fashion Week with him in Paris
Yeah.
next year. I think that's
That's
already been
awesome.
talked about. Yeah. Us and some Louis Vuitton and getting it done. Yeah. Just
I'm
You're
already
gonna
getting my
have to do a
pastels for
wardrobe
some
change, I think.
Miami nightclub visits. I look good in pastel. It's really yes.
a walking Costco ad right here.
The regular guy look. I love it.
The regular guy look. Easy money, baby.
It's awesome.
Easy money.
I love it.
Thank you, Don. You
All right,
you
guys.
rule, my
Thanks
friend.
so much. I appreciate it. We're
Appreciate it.
excited.
Don Arcillo with us. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll check traffic, and then we'll be back with more. Ben and Woods from Padres Spring Training in Peoria, Arizona on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. locked in for the next 9 months or so.
It's all I ever dreamed of.
I know. You waited for this for so long.
I really have. I'm watching Timmy Hill right now slinging a bullpen, and I do mean slinging a bullpen.
He's at the slot nearest to us over here, and he goes so far to the side that I actually lose the ball at the corner
wall
of the building in the wall when he goes over there. I mean, it's just
dirty. Absolutely dirty.
Good stuff here at
so happy
Padres Spring Training.
We were able to get Don on. He is not an early riser, and we are an early show. And if he asked me to punch somebody in the face, I would do it. I love Don Orsillo. And I think he is one of the best, if not the best, in the business of baseball. And I meant what I said, man. It's a blow to get all the way to the postseason and you don't get to hear your favorites, Don and Mud calling games. It's tough.
I mean, I'm glad that Jesse and Tony get to keep calling the games, which gives us that option. It's hard, and I know people try to sync them up on the TV and the radio, and that can be a challenge. But I mean, maybe we invite Don to guest in for a few innings at least with Jesse and Tony during the postseason.
I mean, that'd be a no-brainer, for me. But you also don't want to encroach on Jesse and Tony's.
Yeah, the most serious games of the year, you want to be locked into your broadcast as well.
I think a big old room with them watching the game and calling it for fans would be legendary. You'd need get a sponsor and get that done. But it's a bummer to not hear those guys at the end.
Well, it's a good problem to have.
Yes,
it means
it
your
is.
team is actually in the playoffs. It's not something that Padres fans got to worry about too much in the first 50 so years of franchise history. But this season is going to be a different sort of animal, and we're looking forward to it getting started here at March 30th, opening day at Petco Park.
Yeah, buddy, can't wait.
Looking very much forward to it. All right, we went long with Don, so we're going to take a quick time out here, and then we'll be back.
Got to get back on track.
Get back on track, as it were, and we still have Blake Snell scheduled to stop by at some point here before the end of the show. If we want, we can play a little Take on Woods as well to wrap up the week. So we've got all that ahead of us. Don't go anywhere with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan, brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Remember college? 5 Hour Energy got you through. The energized feeling you relied on back then still works today. Rediscover 5 Hour Energy. It'll get you through again. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Got Tony Gwynn Jr. sitting down here at the table. We're going to talk to, he's starting his journey today for Padres Spring Training broadcasts right after a quick check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Well, maybe we're not checking traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Never mind. All right, let's just go and welcome Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us here at the Peoria Sports Complex. You just got in yesterday, correct?
I did. Got in. No, I got in
Wednesday. Safe drive?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
Friday. So Wednesday.
I got in Wednesday. And yesterday was the first day. Kind of, it's like the first day of school, you know. Got to get to know all the new names. And I keep my immediate guy close to me on the just so I can check out a number, just in case I don't know a name. But it all starts today. New rules, everything today.
Everything.
Yeah, there's someone named Alfonso Rivas in the lineup today.
Right.
Get the media guide out, Tony.
Get the media guide out. Learn a little about Rivas, and hopefully make it play well when we get into the announcements part.
Well, so the the thing that we've all been waiting for is games. You know, you love to. I could sit and watch backfield practice all day. Not everybody has that opportunity. I understand that, but people will have a chance to watch the game, to listen to the game today against the Mariners. And you're somebody that you went through quite a few spring trainings yourself. What were some of your memories of spring training? Is it nerves? Is it Is excitement a little bit of both? What was it?
I think it's different for different sets of guys.
Yeah,
right?
for
So
sure.
For Manny, for Nelly, Cruz, those guys, they've had enough of these where they know exactly what they need. They know exactly what they're focused on right now.
Nelly's got to be sick of spring training.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure. Nelly's
be-
been in so many spring trainings, man. We were just talking about it today. It's like, man, we've come so far from the spring trainings that we used to have. It's so much more laid back than it used to be.
Is it really?
It is. It is. I think teams just have gotten smarter about how they go about it. They're not trying to bury you into the ground in the first couple weeks. It's kind of a process. So you got the guys like Nelly, you got the guys like Manny, but then you have some of the young guys, right? Like a Jackson Merrill. He's going to get a lot of opportunity because guys are going to be leaving, for the WBC. And for him, I'm sure there are a ton of names.
Yeah, he's dying.
He hasn't experienced anything like this. So for him, I'm sure he's excited, but also nervous.
I think for me, though, Jackson Merrill, obviously, he's not going to break camp with the Padres. He's going back to the minors. He's young.
Yeah.
For me, it would be a guy like a Brandon Dixon or a David Dahl who's here on a minor league contract and knows, these games are just as important, if not more, than a regular season game.
For him,
because if he doesn't show well here, he doesn't have a job this year.
And those guys are probably more in the lane that I was in as a player. Like, you come in the spring and you almost need to be peaking when games start.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys like Manny, they want to be peaking
down the
the
road.
last couple of weeks,
Yep.
last week of spring training. For guys like Dixon or Dahl, they got to come out ready to go, ready to impress. And in some ways, that's the better way to go into spring, kind of with that focus. Because the flip side of it is, if you're trying to build up, you can mistime it, or you cannot be where you want to be at the end, and then that causes other issues at that point.
Sometimes, though, you get the phenomenon where a guy who
year.
is locked in early because he has to be against maybe some of the pitchers who aren't going to make the big leagues, and they'll hit 420 with 6 homers in spring, and they make the squad, and everyone's really excited about them, and then opening day rolls around, and 3 weeks later they're hitting 175.
Well, they've only had 3
one
at bats.
RBI.
That's every year almost.
Yeah.
It's almost every year that you get a guy who just has an unbelievable spring. Now, most of the time, it doesn't quite amount to what we think, but occasionally you get a Jorge Alfaro who has a great spring and then carries it into the season, and those are a little bit rarer than the other side of that. But that's all. You can almost book it. Somebody's going to have one of those type of springs.
Yeah. Talking to Tony Gwynn Jr. here on Ben and Woods this morning. Yeah, you're talking about peaking at the right time. We asked Brett Boone about spring training when we were out here for fantasy camp, and he goes, man, there were a couple where I was so locked in, and then I looked at the calendar and I was like, I got 2 weeks left, dude, before these games. And it's almost like you want to dial back, but you don't want that feeling to go away, of that ball going into the gap and barrel and everything.
Yeah, you can't dial it back.
No.
Because for those who have played, that feeling can be fleeting.
It's very fleeting.
You can't. It's hard to bottle it up. So yeah, if you happen to get going early, just ride the wave. Ride the wave, because chances are you're putting up good numbers through the first 3 weeks of spring. That's going to turn enough heads.
I'm interested in the differences. You said it was much different back in the day, and it is more loose and relaxed. You said because teams are smarter. What was different about it back then when you were in there?
The day it seemed to be a little bit longer. Like, there was a lot more focus on the fundamentals, and they still do that, but there's an amount of time that they're looking to do it in.
Right.
Whereas before, we could be out there all day. I almost started before spring training. I almost was put my cleats on and stood on concrete just to try to get my feet ready for what has happened. You look now, everything is efficient. You're in a group, you move to the next station. And I think towards the end of my career, spring training was much more like it is now. But early on, it was
grindy.
It was a grind. It was definitely a grind.
Bob Melvin said something about that the other day that really stuck with me, that I had never thought about. But he was asked about Ryan Christensen, who's now the associate manager, the promotion from bench coach. And they said, well, what are his responsibilities that are different? And Bob goes, none at all. It's just same job, new title, maybe a little pay bump. But he said, people don't realize he sets the schedule.
Yeah,
He organizes everything down to the minute. And Bob goes, I rely on him so much. Everything out here works so efficiently. We are like clockwork out there at stations and moving around. And I had never even thought about the work and preparation that needs to go into each day of spring training to make sure it's just not chaos out here.
Right.
It's chaos.
And listen, that probably is the most important job of any coach during spring training is the layout of how things are going to roll. Now, I looked at their schedule yesterday when I came in. I tell you, I'd have been stuck looking at that board for like 15 minutes.
It's confusing.
Calculus.
Trying to understand exactly where the moving parts. Jesse had to break it down to me a little bit yesterday because he had been here for a while. But that is, you hear it a lot. And the bad springs I had in terms of how grindy it was generally because the schedule wasn't a fluid schedule. It wasn't just me complaining about it. It was a lot of guys complaining about it. So I think they just got so much better at planning the day and making sure everybody know. Now, still up to the players to go check that board and see what group they're in and see how they
show
rotate.
up on time.
And every day, I promise you, if you go on that field, somebody comes straggling into the wrong group and somebody, hey, you're on field 2. It never fails. But it certainly, they do a good job. Ryan Christensen does a really good job putting it together. Guys, you keep guys happy, you keep guys locked in, the day goes by a lot faster.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Talking to Tony Gwynn Jr. here on Ben and Woods this morning. And I wanted to ask you, too, there's got to be a couple of parts of spring training where I no offense to Will Myers, but we all heard the audio clip of, we got to do cutoff drills in September, dude. There's got to be a couple things out there where you're like, all right, we're really doing – like I saw him in a base running group yesterday.
I'm glad you brought that up.
It's okay. We know how important base running is. But I'm watching Manny out there like taking the wide turn at first. And I'm like, oh, he hates
guys
this.
Are asking about how things have changed.
Yeah.
It used to be that when they needed to do first or thirds or they needed to do cuts and relays and they needed runners, the outfielders had to do it.
Oh, God.
Big league outfielders.
Big league outfielders.
And so that's changed now. Now they bring the young guys over or they don't have anybody running. But in terms of what you were asking about, Wizzy, I would say it's the running part. Now, for me as a base runner, I took that pretty seriously, so that wasn't a thing that really bothered me. But from some of the other dudes who don't necessarily run the bases,
that's the last
thing they want to do.
Speaking of outfield drills, you were obviously one of the best defensive outfielders in the game when you played. Fernando Tatis Jr. is transitioning out there. I saw a drill yesterday where, he's going back toward the wall and then kind of does a one hop and then reaches for the wall some of the little things, like what would you be saying to Fernando Tatis Jr. as he's trying to learn the intricacies? He's obviously super athletic and he's going to be great out there, but there are other little kind of things that you do need to learn about playing the outfield.
I think the reps are going to be his most important thing. And it's not just taking fly balls, not just taking ground balls, but as we get into the regular season, getting to know your stadiums, especially playing in right field where you're dealing with the right field line, you're dealing with all kinds of different, right fields in terms of the dimensions, and getting to know that will give him more comfort early. So I would suggest, I know something my dad did a lot. He came into a new stadium, and even when it wasn't a new stadium, he'd have balls hitting that corner. He'd have balls hit off the wall. He'd have balls hit close to the wall so you can start to, understand the steps that it takes to get to the wall. But his athleticism will take care of most of it. And as long as he's willing to get out there.
Instincts,
right. As long as he's able to get out there early and get the reps in, the small intricacy parts, I think he'll be able to make the adjustments. Plus, he's got a pretty good outfielder next to him in Trent Grisham that can certainly help him in those areas.
And Trent's a guy, Tony, that I know I'm pulling for. I think everybody is. What we saw last year out of Trent was not Trent Grisham, and you saw a spark in the playoffs, certainly, and wouldn't have advanced without him. He was phenomenal. And then you see that talent in there. He's got a look in his eye. He looks a little more comfortable this year. He looks pretty happy to be here. And I think there's a confidence about him. He put in a lot of work with Matt Carpenter, he said, in the offseason too. So I'm excited about him, and nowhere to go but up.
I didn't know he worked with Carpenter. That explains the mustache.
Yes,
Rocking,
well, he's got one too.
I see you got one.
He joined the club over there.
You know what? I'm a big fan of Trent, and I think what you saw last year during the regular season was as low as I think you'll see from Trent offensively. But what I loved about him was, despite how bad he was offensively, he never took it to the defensive side.
It's so hard,
and that's how you win
right?
a Gold Glove,
Yep.
right? If he had taken his experience of offense on the defensive side, he's not walking around with another Gold Glove. And the way he performed in the playoffs certainly made me feel like this year, even if it's not his best season, it won't be what we saw last year.
I seem to remember, and this might have even been before you were born, when I was a Padres fan, your dad showing up one year just with the full mustache, going with that look. And
it wasn't before I was born.
You were there. You remember that one?
I remember seeing and remember that scratchy mustache he had on his face. You know, it really scared me off of ever having one of my own, honestly. But I definitely remember the mustache.
I know. I was relieved when he went back to the clean-shaven Tony Gwynn as a fan, because I was going, oh no, he's my favorite player, but I don't know that I like that look.
That was as edgy as Tony Gwynn got right there, the mustache.
He shows up to camera and it's like, whoa.
What's wrong with T?
Somebody, that was his midlife crisis, is growing a mustache.
100%.
It's so funny because last night I'm on Twitter and I'm looking through and there's a video of your dad doing you get your foot down, you get your hands back, and I'm like, man.
In his Aztec get up?
Get up.
He's, I see that clip a lot. And,
kills me.
It makes me miss him, obviously, but it's a reminder of how simple he kept hitting.
Yes.
And today's world where we got so many different things going on, I think sometimes it could fog a hitter's head up.
He makes it sound like it's so easy. He's like, you just don't get on your front side and get the foot down. You're stepping on a pillow.
All of the stuff he said was factual, but
it's his delivery. It was his delivery
to make it look easier than it actually is.
His delivery,
that most of us don't have.
His delivery was like, guys, come on. What are we doing here? I mean, just get your foot down and knob to the ball and you're good.
You guys have, I don't know if you guys heard the story. My junior year at San Diego State, he was really frustrated with a batting practice day. And he was giving us the same spiel. Man, get your foot down, take your hands back, get your foot down, take the swing. And it wasn't going well for us. So he said, you know what I'll do? I'll get in. This guy hadn't swung a bat in, I don't know, a year at this point, maybe a little bit longer. And he gets in there, and it's hard to counter anything he's saying when a guy who hasn't swung a bat in a year gets in the box, and the mid-flight of the ball is telling you where it's going.
Yeah.
So, it's like
he's like left center, right center.
Watch out as the ball goes back over the pitcher's head. True story. And so, you got to, as I used to tell him, I was like, Dad, I know you're my dad. I've grown up with you my entire life. Everybody doesn't see the ball the same way you see it.
The release. Just get to the release point.
Release point thing.
Bro, I've never picked up a release point in my life. Never once.
Spin. I remember he came and talked to us in A-ball, and he was like, when your hand gets above here and you got the hands covering it, it's change up, and it's like, I put my hand, I was like, I'm pretty sure nobody in here sees any of that. That's just you. You guys don't see the finger.
The fingers, the knuckle curve.
We see spin, but we don't see any of the other stuff you're talking about.
There's a video that was once again going around Twitter of him getting a double off Randy Johnson in the playoffs, just flicking his wrist onto the nastiest slider that's not even on the plate, and everyone's
mind blowing to me even today.
On a pitch that 100 out of 100 major leaguers strike out on. And he hits a double down the line off of Randy Johnson in the playoffs. Last thing for me, I saw Jesse wandering around. You got your reps coming in. Now you do so many games. Whoa, there we got traffic.
What in the world?
There it is.
I just fired.
My bad.
It's all right, Frankie.
Italian Paul. We'll get to traffic. Don't worry. Just, how long do you get back into a rhythm with Jesse? Is it the first day? Is it a week or two?
It probably took 2 or 3 games before both of us felt, comfortable again. In this year, it might take longer because, with all the new rules, we may not have the time like we normally do.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It is. Analyst's job has got to be a lot faster.
It's a small window now. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited about the new rules and how it's going to affect the game.
All right. Well, Tony, thank you so much. Obviously, I've got to get that check of traffic in because Frank is chomping at the bit back there. So we'll be listening at 105 today, you and Jesse, game 1 against the Mariners.
Thank you, fellas.
Tony Gwynn Jr. Now let's check that traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Ain't working.
No traffic now. Okay, there it is.
We are on fire.
This is live remote radio at its absolute finest. here from Padres Spring Training in Peoria. It's okay. We'll figure it out, and we'll definitely be listening when Tony takes the microphone this afternoon against the Mariners.
Yep, they're Mariners. I got their lineup too, if you want it.
Yeah, we got a minute here.
All right, let me
lay it on us.
Let me bust that out for you here. The
Scott
Mariners
Services lineup.
We are going to be running out. They are going to be running out there today. All right, so you've got leading off Colton Wong. He'll be playing second base. Julio Rodriguez in the 2-hole in center field. Superstar Ty France, former Padre. 3-hole playing first. Teoscar Hernandez, right fielder. Eugenio Suarez, third base. Jared Kelenic, left field. Tom Murphy catching. J.P. Crawford at short, and Mike Ford, the DH. Pretty substantial lineup there.
Two pretty representative lineups of these teams. Not everybody in there, but a lot of them in there. So, getting started with a bang here at spring training. We'll be back. Final hour of Ben and Wood still to come. Sammy Spring Training still hoping to catch up with Blake Snell as well before we pack it on up. Head on out on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Let's natural handcrafted mattresses. Go get your custom pillow at Mattress Makers. You can choose whatever filling you'd like. You can choose however, how stuffed you want it to be, a little firmer, a little softer. It's all custom right there for you, made right in front of you. It was really cool. We went before the trip, brought our pillows with us. Now I've got mine heading back in the car as we return to San Diego this afternoon.
Make sure you get mine home safely.
Yes, you've got all your stuff in my car because
Yeah.
you're flying back.
Yes.
Taking the easy way.
The easy way. That's how I do it.
Paulie and I are taking the hard way,
Yep.
the long way back to try to avoid the mountains and the snow and all the torrential rain. Now, it was not great weather the first few days we've been here, but today is actually really nice so far. It's sunny,
It's
not too hot. It's not too cold. It's really
it is
nice.
a perfect day out here, and it bodes well for game time. And just so excited to see these guys get it going. There's a huge crowd around watching a Pen right now.
I think Pomeranz was out there at least a second ago.
Man. Yeah, he's been out there every day throwing. So
it's got to be a good sign as the Padres put their bullpen together. Get him back. Just adds another left-handed option out there.
Crazy.
We saw Tim Hill throwing earlier as well. I mean, the more you got 3 devastating lefties like that with Hader, Hill, and Pomeranz. There's not many bullpens that can be that flexible. I mean, usually a lot of bullpens maybe have one lefty they can rely on, and they got to save it for one, key spot in the lineup where maybe you got 2 lefties in 3 coming up, and you're waiting for that one moment. Bob Melvin, if he has 3 lefties, will have a lot of flexibility in terms of neutralizing opposing hitters in lineups like that.
Flexibility and depth, man, and health are the 3 things for this team that are just – it just sets them apart from a lot of other rosters in Major League Baseball right now. So saw Tatis walk by earlier. He was walking down by the batting cage, so he's around, going to get his work in today too. So just the stars are out, man, and there's a bunch of stars in our lineup today for the first game.
Speaking of games, we're going to play our own game here in a couple of minutes, a late edition of Take on Woods, a chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. And all you have to do is challenge Woodsy in a game of music trivia. 5 questions, 1 minute. See if you can get as many as possible. Then Woods gets his chance, and we'll compare scores. If you want to be our contestant, call up now. Italian Paul back there will take your call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll probably play here in about 5 or 6 minutes, but I want to get that number out early so we get a couple of options on the line before it's ready to go.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's see. Anything else that you've noticed while we've been here? Observations on this team? Just in general, kind of wrapping up our trip here in the final hour.
Just there's a lot of confidence amongst all the guys, and you can tell, and you can tell the message is clear. You can tell it's a singular message, and that's to go out and win this thing this year. And it's gonna, it takes so much to win a World Series. You can have the best 111 win team and just go nowhere. We saw it last year, and I think you use the Dodgers as kind of a cautionary tale. I do. If you're the San Diego Padres, and you heard things about them, the layoff, while the Padres were battling the Mets. The Dodgers were going on late night talk shows, and they were not taking BP at Petco Park. And you can't look past teams, and you can't take it for granted, and you have to really grind. And it takes a lot of luck too. You can have the best players in the world, but it's going to take a tremendous amount of luck. Things got to bounce your way.
Will you be on the lookout for those signs this season with the Padres that, things are going too easily, that they've gotten overconfident at any point this season?
I don't know that you can be overconfident. I think that
wasn't what you were just describing with the Dodgers a second ago?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It's not overconfident. It's more of kind of taking it for granted. Like, they took for granted they were going to roll through the playoffs. They did. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. When you win that many games, and they owned the Padres in the regular season. I'm sure they were licking their chops. Overconfident may be the word, but I almost looked at it as like you look past them. You got a little bit lazy. I mean, that's just lazy. Not going out and taking grounders and taking BP, and when the playoffs start, I don't know, man. I use them as a cautionary tale that regular season's great and winning a division's fantastic, but we talked to Tony Gwynn Jr. about peaking at the right time. You got to peak at the right time. The Philadelphia Phillies, they peaked at the right time. Now, they weren't able to get the job done ultimately, but when they peaked, they were horrible down the stretch. I mean, horrid. and they got in the playoffs. They started playing defense out of nowhere. They started hitting bombs, and it was just, I mean, it was a revelation.
I can't argue with your logic, but I also, part of me goes, there's no way that the reason that the Dodgers lost to the Padres is because they didn't take infield practice one day. I can't see that as the reason.
Or batting practice.
Or batting practice. I still don't think that that's the reason they lost, though. After playing 165 games, playoffs, regular season, I don't think it comes down to, what you ate for breakfast the morning of a playoff game.
Well, I think breakfast is different than getting work in. I mean, again, they said no, they're not going to hit.
Yeah, but you see a lot of teams that, they work too hard, that they grind too much, and we should have backed off a little bit at some point. We're going after the fact and looking for reasons. I think the Padres simply played better in a series when it counted. And I don't know that the Dodgers did anything wrong. They didn't rise to the moment the way the Padres did in that series.
And by cautionary tale, I mean that it's you don't want to be that team. That's worse. That's worse, man. The Mariners back in the day when all those regular season wins to get bounced in the first round, that you don't want to be that team that is a regular season champion.
I guess it terrifies me as a fan, though, knowing how difficult it is to figure out what it takes to get locked in for the playoffs.
Right.
Because the Padres could have the best regular season in franchise history, and it could be over 3 days later.
Correct.
It really could be in the postseason.
It's awful.
And
the postseason's awful.
And we'll all consider the season kind of a massive failure.
Correct.
If they get eliminated in the wild card round of the playoffs, or even in the division series, it's going to feel like a massive, massive failure. Even though, it only comes down to one series, a best of 3 or a best of 5.
Yep.
Guess what? The best team in baseball, over 162, you're going to lose quite a few series over the course of the year. Absolutely. There will be weeks where it just doesn't come together. And if one of those series happens to be in October, your season is over. And it doesn't mean you weren't a great team. You just may have hit the wrong matchup at the wrong time, and there's so little you can do about it now in spring training.
I just, eye on the prize for this team the whole year. I do look at the lineup. I do look at the depth, and, of course, injuries are going to play a huge part of it. But if they stay healthy, Ben, it's going to be hard for me to wrap my head around this team hitting a massive lull. And by a massive lull, I mean a 6-game losing streak.
I agree.
It's hard. If it does happen, and even if it does happen, I'm still not going to panic because of the makeup of this team, the manager, what we've got here. I'm just not going to panic, and I promise you those guys won't panic either.
Between the talent the Padres have right now and the playoff format that Major League Baseball has adopted in the last couple of years, I think there's clearly never been a season in Padres history in which I have been more confident that they will be playing in October.
Correct.
Yeah, they had really good teams, 96 and 98. But 96 went right down to the wire against the Dodgers.
Yep.
They needed to clinch the last couple of days. 98 didn't. But remember, at that point, there was only one wild card. It wasn't nearly as easy to get into the postseason. To me, the postseason is, you can never take it for granted as a foregone conclusion. But partly in my mind, I feel like this is a 162-game warm-up for the Padres this year.
That's it's hard because I saw a quote like that from a Dodgers beat reporter once who said this is just basically spring training for us, and I don't know that you can have that mentality either. You got to play this thing out. You got to play this thing hard through the end of the season, and I think this is a 100+ win team for sure.
All right, you can listen to 97.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app for your chance to win a pair of tickets to Depeche Mode at Pechanga Arena on December the 6th. Every hour you listen now through March 5th equals 1 entry in the contest. And speaking of music, we've got a contestant online. Let's get to today's game of Take on Woods.
Get out of here.
It's time for Take on Woods. Take on
Woods. Woods.
All right, I got to shield my screen from the sun here as I welcome Guy, our contestant. Welcome back to Take on Woods. Guy, how are you doing this morning? Guy, are you there? I hear something. This is.
I got dropped.
There you are. I got you. So, Guy, is that you?
Okay. Yeah, it's me.
All right, you are good to go. I will remind everybody what you are playing for. If you can beat or tie Woods, you will qualify for our grand prize monthly drawing trip to Las Vegas, a 2-night stay at the Westgate with treatment for 2 at Serenity Spa and a VIP pod at the Westgate Superbook. Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations. Home of legendary Vegas fun. Must be 21 and up. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, you get to pick the category as Woods has departed the vicinity. Here are your choices, Guy. We've got I chart back. Those are 5 bands and artists that begin with the letter I. We've got the When Is Now, 5 song titles that all begin with the word when. And we've got our new category, Ain't It Grand? It ain't proper grammar, but we've got song titles that include the word ain't. So of those 3, I chart, the When Is Now, or Ain't It Grand. Guy, what would you like to play?
Let's go win. Like the Padres are going to win 101 and 61 this year. Go Padres.
It's when, not win, like W-H-E-N. When. You still want to pick that one?
I'll still take it.
All right, still take it. The When Is Now. So 5 song titles that begin with the word when. Like when is this show going to end sort of thing. You'll get 60 seconds. You can pass if you don't know an answer. We'll start with our 2-second song. Italian Paul will play a little clip of a well-known classic. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. Guy, are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, remember the category, the When Is Now, song titles that start with when. Your time begins when Frankie plays the music. Good luck, Guy. Let's take on Woods.
When I Come Around by Green Day.
Correct. Percy Sledge is best known for which slow-paced #1 hit from 1966?
Pass.
Bruno Mars sings I Should Have Bought You Flowers, in which piano ballad that became one of the Stars' early hits in 2012?
Pass.
A 14-year-old Paul McCartney imagined what life would be like 50 years into the future when he wrote which song the Beatles eventually recorded for their Sgt. Pepper album?
God. Too much coffee today. Pass.
In 1975, a cheated and mistreated Linda Ronstadt breathed new life into which Everly Brothers hit from the 1960s? Oh, time is up. Guy,
Hanging up in shame.
it's a tough category, though. You got one. We'll see. Let's bring Woods. All right, I'm bringing Woods over, so I'm not going to give the answers out until afterwards. But you only got the 2-second song at the beginning. The other ones, not quite as good. So since he's too close, I don't want to give away any of the answers or the category. So everyone gets to play the game in their cars one more time to see if they can get these right. All right, Guy's score is locked in.
All right.
Putting 60 seconds back on the clock.
Did you catch a game last night?
No.
The time
Catch a game today.
begins when Frankie plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Guy.
When I Come Around, Green Day.
Correct. Percy Sledge is best known for which slow-paced #1 hit from 1966?
When a Man Loves a Woman.
Correct. Bruno Mars sings I Should Have Bought You Flowers, in which piano ballad became one of the Stars' early hits in 2012.
Pass.
A 14-year-old Paul McCartney imagined what life would be like 50 years into the future when he wrote which song the Beatles eventually recorded on their Sgt. Pepper album?
When I'm 64.
Correct. In 1975, a cheated and mistreated Linda Ronstadt breathed new life into which Everly Brothers
When
hit.
Will I Be Loved?
Correct. Bruno Mars sings I Should Have Bought You Flowers, in which piano ballad that became one of the Stars' early hits in 2012.
I don't know. I'm out.
You got 4, though, and that's a win today.
Boy.
The only one that we didn't get was When I Was Your Man.
All right.
By Bruno Mars. But you nailed the category. Was the When Is Now song titles that begin with the word when.
All right.
I thought maybe the clue, 14-year-old Paul McCartney, 50 years into the
50 years
future,
later,
was
when I'm 64.
When I'm 64.
I know the
would give
song,
that
but
one
I still
away.
had to do the math in my head. Yeah.
All right, congratulations, Woods.
Thank
a
you.
win to
Feels
end the
good.
week here. After a couple of slow weeks, you're getting back on track here.
I do. I feel
on
like
Take
that.
on Woods.
Yeah, I feel like that it's all coming together.
All right, got a couple of segments left from spring training. I know Sammy Spring Training is going to stop by. He's out on the fields right now seeing what's going on, so he can give us an update of what is happening today in the now at the spring training complex here in Peoria, and we'll be back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I can hear the wind blowing in our microphones here.
Yeah.
Kicking up a little
Little
bit.
bit.
Not bad. Not like it was the last few days, but you know what? It's been a week of weather, but also a week of a really fun broadcast here
It's been awesome,
at spring
man.
training.
It's been awesome. It's been a great trip. It's this is I always feel like we're in our element here, and I just love it, man. I love the people here. You know, from the guy that takes the bags out to the backfields, to the guys that make the food. Everyone here is so kind. They're so friendly. They're so accommodating of us. So we really appreciate it for the whole organization.
We just got introduced to one of the longtime staffers I'd never met. Tree Man. Has been here for 20 years. Eric Grupner introduced us. Said he was Tree Boy when he started. Now he's Tree Man. He's been around that long. And he said, oh, you should have him on and tell the stories.
He goes,
like,
no.
Don't want to tell the stories. But there are a lot of these baseball lifers who work behind the scenes. I mean, I was just surprised. I mean, there's a room just around the corner. It's like an entire room of Gatorade.
Yeah.
The entire room is either Gatorade tubs, Gatorade bottles. I mean, that's all that is in there. It's an entire room full of Gatorade. That's what spring training does. You've got just little magical things all around the place, around every corner.
No, it's great, man. And like I said, everyone here is so kind.
So I'm looking at a story that ESPN posted called How the Astros Are Gearing Up to Defend Their World Series Crown.
Okay.
And I want to ask you, of all the other teams in Major League Baseball, National League or American League, which one in your mind poses the biggest threat to keep the San Diego Padres from winning their first World Series title?
Pretty obvious answer. I think so.
Is it the Astros?
I think so.
That's the one? I mean, not any of the other National League squads, not the Mets, not the Dodgers.
Phillies are going to be really tough as well, getting Trey Turner at the top of their lineup. They're going to be tough as well. But, the Astros, again, and, you tend to do this, the recency bias of seeing that team roll through it and dominate, win a World Series, and then knowing what they brought back. They let, Verlander's gone, but
I don't even think they're going to get back to the World Series this year.
Yeah.
I don't.
The hangover?
I think that losing Verlander and the World Series hangover, having to, on the short season ramped up with the way they did it last year and then playing all the way through into early November is asking a lot for that Astros team to do it again this year. They got a lot of talent. I mean,
they're pretty consistent. They're pretty consistent, and I think they got to the World Series with guys even having down years in some cases, and rolling with a rookie shortstop in Jeremy Pena, who looks like he's put on, I don't know, 40 pounds of muscle. You guys see the picture of him standing by the batting cage? His arms are the size of one of your legs. I mean, it looks like he is yoked. So you don't know what you're going to get out of him in year two, right? But coming off a World Series MVP, the confidence has got to be pretty high. They've got this stable of arms, Ben, that they've got locked up that just looks so good. They've got a dominant closer. They got a good bullpen. They got a good manager. They added Abreu in the offseason. It's going to be tough to top those guys.
To me, the one team that I think poses the biggest threat, though, to the Padres, well, we've already said we think that they're going to win enough games to make the playoffs. So you're going to have to get through a number of different teams to win the World Series. And, we've already seen that they can hit the Phillies pitchers.
Yep.
We've seen them do it. Even their best ones,
Yep.
They've gotten hits against them. The team that worries me the most is the Mets. And if Verlander and Scherzer happen to be at the top of their game in October, and the Padres, they got to Scherzer last year in the playoffs. But to me, that lineup, that pitching rotation in a short series in the playoffs, that's the team that actually scares me the most.
Yeah, I don't think you want to go into a 3-game series against those guys.
Not again.
Even though you've proven that you can do it. No, I mean, look, the NL is going to be – it's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet of epic proportions. But if you can find a way to win a pennant, you got to beat an American League team. I'm hard-pressed to find one in the AL that's better than the Houston Astros. I'm not saying that they're going to be immune to a World Series hangover a little bit, but with the guys that they have, the Bregmans, the Altuves, the guys that can grind it out, man, and find a way to win games. They're just a terrifying baseball team.
Even winning the division, even getting the best record in baseball in the bye, that would be, I guess, the ideal place. Sure. But I mean, you're the second seed. That means you're facing the second wild card team. You're probably facing, a Dodgers or a Mets or a Phillies or a Braves team in the first round of the playoffs. And then you've got another. I mean, you could have to go through the three superpowers again. I mean,
you may get to the World Series and be like, I'm cashed.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely cashed.
Yeah,
by the battles that we've just fought.
The Mets, Dodgers, Phillies gauntlet that the Padres had to go through. How many teams really could go through and win series 3 in a row against those teams?
No kidding. No kidding.
And
which of those teams are going away? None of them. I think they've all. The Dodgers didn't have the splashiest offseason, but they're still very good. They're still very, very good and getting some guys back. And some of their young guys are players. They are players, and they're going to get a look. And don't be surprised at the deadline if they go out and make moves as well, if they're in it, and we all expect them to be. So I'm as nerve-wracked and excited for a season as I've ever been, because it's going to be very, very challenging.
And remember, the likelihood is that the division and the bye will be decided not necessarily on how you play against the other good teams. Those will be battles. You'll probably split some games against the Dodgers and against the Mets and the Phillies. It'll be on how well you dominate some of the other teams that you face during the course of the regular season. Taking 2 out of 3 against the Rockies, not really going to be enough, probably. You're going to have to sweep a lot of those series against the lesser teams.
You need to impose your will on the lesser teams. You do. And I watched the Yankees do it, Ben, in the AL East against the Orioles, and at the time the Rays for years. And it was like, well, it's almost like padding stats. I mean, you're just like, yeah, we got a ton of wins because we beat the crap out of the teams that we were supposed to.
It's a little bit against what the baseball mentality is. I've seen it so often. Hey, you just win series.
Yeah.
You take 2 out of 3, and normally that is good enough. But when you have so many super teams now, it's not the old days when 92 wins might be the best record in the league. If you want to get a bye in the first round, that probably starts at about 104, 105 wins just to get in the conversation of having the best record in the league. So you don't do that by just taking 2 out of 3 against the bad teams and splitting against the good teams. That gets you in the playoffs. That gets you to 90 wins. But to get to 105, it requires a lot of sweeps. It requires a few winning streaks, like 8 or 9 games over the course of the season, stretches of 20 out of 23 that you win. It's not simply, hey, we went 6-4 this, out of these 10, let's go 6-4 the next 10. And, 600 winning percentage is great. Not quite good enough when you have so many loaded teams in the National League.
Well, and being one of the loaded teams, the pressure is on you to do that. To again impose your will on the lesser teams, and there are a bunch, and we're going to be facing a bunch of them. And yeah, man, you got to take it to those guys. No joke. 1 through 6 has to perform.
All right, before you make your next bet, you can then check out BetQL, because they look at every bet from every game to find you the best bets possible, ranking them on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. And whether that's basketball, baseball coming up, any sport you want, they're doing it day in and day out. And right now, you can get 3 days of BetQL access absolutely free just by visiting BetQL.com or by downloading the BetQL app. All right, final segment is coming up. Sammy Spring Training is going to stop by, see what's going on, and wrapping it all up here with Bennett Woods. Our donuts are about to blow away on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Remember college? 5 Hour Energy got you through. The energized feeling you relied on back then still works today. Rediscover 5 Hour Energy. It'll get you through again. Visit 5hourenergy.com. Got Sammy Spring Training standing by as we get our final check of traffic during our stay here in Peoria on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the...
Here, I'd mess with you guys for a second.
Kelly Danek.
We managed to dodge the rain for a morning commute. That could all change, though, as the day progresses. We are expecting some rain later this afternoon. We'll see how that goes, but you've been warned. Right now, they are still clearing a crash from the El Cajon Boulevard off-ramp, eastbound 8. Northbound at 67, just past Woodside, crash the clearing stage. Everything is over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, we have survived the week here at spring training. Last segment of Ben and Woods before we head back to San Diego. I'm going to catch at least a couple of innings of the game before making the drive. I don't want to start too late and risk not getting there until after midnight or anything. But I do want to see this lineup. I want to see Xander Bogaerts in a Padres uniform on a stadium field for the first time. He's going to be leading off today with Manny Machado and Juan Soto following right behind him. That's just a taste of things to come this year for the Padres.
Yeah, can't wait, man. Get to see Nick Martinez on the bump as well. And then the guys trailing him today, Jay Groom. And who was the last one?
It's going to be Ryan Weathers.
Ryan Weathers on the bump
today. I started talking about Ryan Weathers, and we'll ask Sammy about it as well. Some of the changes he's made and what he went through last year, I mean, all we really saw were the numbers in El Paso, and they were dreadful. He made one appearance with the Padres, and it was, 3 2/3 innings, 4 runs, something like that. Not great. But he's come in, I feel, with a different energy this year, a little more confident, has made some changes, and hopefully can get back to being, that guy who was once one of the top prospects in the Padres system. Have you seen Sammy Levitt with us? Have you seen much of Ryan Weathers so far this spring?
Yeah, I saw his new windup, and I talked to him about it. And going over the head is what you'll notice today. He's bringing his glove hand and his throwing hand above his head, and then getting into his windup. I talked to him earlier in the week, and he talked about improving the way he spins the baseball, working with Joe Musgrove. So I'm really excited to see him as well. We know this is a big-time prospect, somebody that if the Padres needed to dip into that pitching depth at different points of the year, certainly Ryan Weathers is somebody that you could see. So I'm really interested to see him. Interested to see Jay Groom as well today, no doubt. Who was part of that Eric Hosmer deal.
And they were talking about Ryan Weathers last year with a lot of trial and error and trying to figure it out mid-season or in season as you go from start to start. I mean, it's just got to be an excruciating thing for a player when your mechanics are off, the velo's down, you can't really put your finger on it. So you're just trying new stuff. Every time you go take the bump. That's not a recipe for success, and especially not at the big league level. I mean, you got to have it figured out. So that's what this is for. He's put in a lot of work in the offseason, and all the guys to a man are talking about how good he's looked. So we'll see today, and he's going up against a tough lineup with the Mariners are running out there too. So they got a bunch of stars in their lineup as well. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, and the Padres are facing Robbie Ray to begin the day.
Dirty.
So I would assume he'll throw something like 2 innings or something like that. But so the top of that order has to face a very good starting pitcher. Yeah,
welcome to the fire. Yeah, welcome to the fire.
A lot of fun.
You were over there earlier. There was quite the crowd at the bullpen. I know Drew Pomeranz was throwing. Is that what was attracting all the people, or what was going on over there?
So Drew Pomeranz was throwing. Daniel Camarena was throwing. I can't quite tell you why there was such a large crowd. There were a lot of people there, but
it could be because it's the first game day and everyone's here.
At different points of the morning and the day, and depending on the day, sometimes the crowds get very large right behind us by the bullpen, so I don't quite know. But look, I'm no pitching scout. I'm no pitching expert. Drew Pomeranz, to me, looks really good. The stuff looks good. It's coming out of his hand great. You hear the pop of the mitt. Manny Machado stood in against him. Well, not taking any swings, but just stood in the box by the bullpen against him, and was nodding his head at times and kind of giving his approval. So we've said it before, I think, during this week, what a boost that would be. But just the eye test in the bullpen, to me, he looks very good, which is great.
Yeah, it's good to see the Padres getting started with knock on wood, a good deal of health so far. I know Adam Engel was a little behind. Joe Musgrove had the wisdom teeth, but for the most part, we haven't heard anything too concerning coming out of the Padres so far here at spring training.
Yeah, which is what you want, which is arguably the most critical element of this whole thing, of this whole spring, and especially as the guys go to the World Baseball Classic, is coming out of here as healthy as possible. I mean, look, over the course of the next 30 days, you're likely going to have some issues health-wise pop up. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yep.
You just hope they're not too serious. And certainly with the World Baseball Classic guys, you hope those guys stay healthy with the competitiveness of those games. But yeah, I mean, look, you cross your fingers, but that's a huge part of it.
So those games start when? Next weekend?
March 8th,
March
I believe, is the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, some of the games will be
12
overseas.
days.
Right.
Some of the preliminary games for the, Chinese Taipei and Japan. Some will be in Miami, and some will be here in Arizona as well. And then those winners all advance to Miami,
Right.
which will be the final, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. So the top 8 teams will go to Miami for the last rounds of games, and I think it all wraps up by the 21st or so.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the games over at Chase Field in Arizona here in Phoenix. It's going to be cool. I believe I have a credential for that, so I think I'll be able to get
So
there.
Sammy Spring Training is also going to be Sammy WBC
WBC.
That'll be
as
cool.
well.
And we should see some Padres guys over there as well. So it's going to be really neat.
But the Dominican Padres players will be heading to Miami
Right.
for their initial games. You're assuming they're going to advance out of their pool,
Yes.
and get to play in the finals, but they won't be here in Arizona at all because that'll all be over there in Miami for all their games.
Yeah, I have to take a look at the bracket and really kind of bear down on it. But,
Are we that mad if they get knocked out in the first round?
It's kind of a mixed blessing.
Mixed feeling. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, back to spring training you go.
Yeah. Well, could you make the argument that playing in more of those
Manny did.
kinds of games
Manny did.
is
He
better?
Did. Yeah, he made that argument and
Yeah.
said, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely beneficial."
I think Bob Melvin, and he said it a couple of times in the last week and a half. He keeps making this point about the injuries that they could get hurt here at spring training too.
Happens all the time.
So look, I mean, you can think about it whatever way you want to think about it. I think there's probably an argument to be made that that it's better to be here at spring training, or it's better to continue playing in those games. But I think, look, those guys are really excited about it. I think we as fans should be really excited about it, and hope the entertainment factor is really high.
I mean, we're baseball fans. We want the sport to grow, and attract more fans and worldwide. I mean, so this is how you do it. You expand your brand by putting on events like this, when normally, it's the dog days of spring training. People are kind of, all right, well, when's the season going to start?
Yeah.
It's not really the best time for baseball
I
fans.
do feel like there's more buzz about it this year than I can ever remember. To be honest with you, I don't feel like I really got all that into it.
Well, how long has it been since the last one?
2017,
because they were supposed to be every 4 years, but then they had the pandemic and they had to push it back. So it's been 6 years.
2017,
6 years, I think, since the last World Baseball Classic. So people are. It's been a long time since we've gotten to see this event.
It's good baseball, man. It's good baseball. They take it seriously, and great for us, man. I'm going to watch every game, every game I can get my hands on.
Yeah, I will tell you, just being around the complex the last hour or so, a couple of things stood out. Number one, there are a lot of fans here already this morning.
They packed it today.
Over there, you guys could see it when the position players were stretching in that little grassy area between the fields. I mean, there were already a few hundred fans there waiting, and then they were kind of led into the area by Field 1 over there for defensive drills and batting practice. For the first time today, they did, or at least I saw they did for the first time, pop-up drills where they take a pitching machine and they just pop it up in the air.
Yeah.
And it might be going to the left side of the infield, right side of the infield, directly above the mound. And it was really, really cool to hear those guys at the top of their lungs during those drills yell, I got it, I got it, I got it.
You can't really hear it in games.
It was really cool because I was like, that's literally baseball drill 101.
Yeah, they
That is
tried
Little
it.
League.
They tried it in fantasy camp with the machines shooting fly balls, and that didn't go very well, Sammy, at all. It didn't go well at all.
I mean, the sky here, it's sunny, it's windy, it's a
I
high
could see
sky.
where this would be very hard.
This
to
is
see.
about as tough
Yeah.
as it gets in fielding pop-ups that you're going to see all season long. So it's definitely good practice when they're out there.
Excited for game 1 today. Just ready to get this thing going, man.
Yeah.
So ready to get it going.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, the big focus of Bob Melvin's press media scrum over here was, and this has been the way this has been a big question for the last week and a half, was about the rule changes. And I'm going to be honest with you, I can't wait to just see a game with the rule changes, in part so we can stop talking about what they're going to look like, because I'm going crazy with all these questions about what it's going to look like, so we can actually see it. I think that's going to be a fascinating part of today and this weekend, is seeing those rule changes. And reportedly, the umpires have been instructed to enforce it day one, and I get that. So it's going to be really interesting today to see with the disengagement rule, and are guys even running this weekend? Are they going for it? Are they, the pitch clock? It's a big part of today, obviously.
Talking to Sammy Levitt, Sammy Spring Training here on our final segment at the Peoria Sports Complex. Now, did Bob address the fact that after 2 days with us and with the media talking about how Juan Soto is going to be batting second and Manny Machado is going to be batting third, that in his very first spring training lineup, he's flipped him around with Machado batting second and Soto batting third? Was there a smirk? Was there a gleam in his eye? Was that a practical joke?
He joked that his pen slipped.
Amazing.
I'd have to go back. I'm trying to think about what he said after he said his pen slipped. I think it was about having the lefties in there and just wanting to split up some of the, because what was it? It's Xander, Manny, Soto, Cruz.
So lefty, righty, lefty.
I think he wanted to split the lefties up today. I wouldn't lean
righty, lefty, righty.
You wouldn't want Scott Service to bring in a tough lefty in the 8th inning and have to face those three guys. There's not going to be in the game anymore. It's a spring training game.
He's going righty, righty, lefty, righty.
It doesn't matter. It's spring training.
I wouldn't glean. What I took away from his answer was I wouldn't glean too much into.
I think he's just been having fun with us.
Yeah,
I think he's been messing with us the last couple of days, and this is how Bob Melvin gets through spring training, by playing little games with the media.
Yeah, I will say, and I'm not, I'm really not trying to get an extra donut out of you guys or anything like that. You can have
as many as you want,
but you guys have done an outstanding job here this week.
So have you, Sammy.
That Manny Machado friend contract was awesome. That was awesome. That was a great idea and a great way to broach that whole thing. I mean, that was tremendous.
Well,
appreciate it.
I mean, and we are going home now, but you have to stay. And really, the real work of spring training is in the endurance. It's like, Manny, you got to post every day and come back every day. That's the real challenge. We kind of came in and we were given all the best players, sitting down and doing interviews. And I appreciate the kind comments, but I would think that, a monkey could probably do a pretty good job with this show the way we were set up this week. So.
I guess I'm a little bit more. I have to go in the clubhouse and kind of grab them.
Yeah, you gotta
things like that. But you can set things up, and I'm going to try to do some more of that stuff. But no, you guys have done an outstanding job here. Seriously, I've watched all the interviews, the YouTube stuff. Shout out to Paul. Shout out to Paul Reindl. Okay,
Paulie's
this has been
so
the
much
YouTube stream. This is outstanding. So great job, guys.
Yeah, why not take a week where you're already on the road and out of studio, and then add like 10 notches to the degree of difficulty. And of course, he can't talk because his microphone is plugged into Sammy's right now. But it's nice. He just has to sit there and let us say nice things about him for a minute or two. Yeah, there he goes. You got it. Just take a bow over there, Paulie. You're not even on the YouTube stream right now. There's not a fourth camera for Paulie. So,
and you got Don Orsillo on.
That was probably our biggest get of the week, to be honest.
I mean,
he's eluded us.
You thought it would be Xander or Soto or Manny, but really it's Don is our white whale.
Blake Snell slipped through our fingers again. Just slipped right through our fingers, but we'll get him.
Everybody in the comments is asking, where's Snell? Where's Snell? Where's Snell?
It's become a bit of a game of cat and mouse.
It's a little cat and mouse
with Blake Snell now.
Yeah.
I guess I was told he slept in a little bit.
Okay.
And by the time he got here, he was already running late for his workouts.
Okay.
And his workouts go until a little after 11 o'clock. And then
So
gotta
he's
get ready
working
for the
out right
game.
now.
So yeah, he's out there somewhere.
Well,
The question is, was it a strategy to avoid us, or
Probably.
simply just a matter of
Well,
circumstance?
maybe you'll get him during the season.
No, we
maybe
will.
you can come down to Petco Park and interview him. That'd be nice.
We will track Blake Snell down. If we got Don Orsillo, we can get Blake Snell.
That's true.
For sure.
That's true.
Slippery catfish.
Yeah, great crowds already now, and you do see that, as Sammy mentioned, that once the game starts, there were fans here for sure the last week and a half or so, but this is the dividing point where hotel prices go way up starting tonight. This is how they make their money in the Peoria economy. They didn't build all these hotels for August and September. They built them all for February and March. So they will charge through the roof, the top possible prices for the next 6 weeks.
Yep.
And get as many people in here as they can.
By the way, quickly, wanted to thank the Tier 1s. My wife tweeted last night doing a little fundraising for Bo's T-ball team. And you guys came through in droves, and I really appreciate it. Can you?
They'll be flying private charters
say
to
thank
their
you?
T-ball games this year, thanks to the Tier 1s.
Say thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, buddy. Is he the number one fundraiser? By far. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
It
Buddy.
almost feels like cheating a little bit.
A little
but,
bit. But listen, you do what you got to do, and I knew Mama wasn't going to get outbid. So the number one fundraiser for Encinitas Little League is Bo Woods. Congratulations, pal! You're the big winner this week, and you were such a good boy today. I really appreciate it.
He was a great magnet as well.
Yeah.
Players stop for just an
Stop
extra
and say hello.
second
Great
or two
strategy.
to say hi to Bo. He's definitely got some charisma that you and I lack, Woods.
Yes, fair enough. Fair enough.
Maybe it's the hair. I don't know what it is exactly, but
The
you got some
shades.
style. You got some swag, Bo.
Yeah, he's got some swag.
Yeah.
You good? You want to go watch some baseball? Yeah? All right, let's do it. Almost out of here, a couple more minutes. But no, thank you guys again. I mean, that's way above and beyond. I really appreciate it.
I think we have to thank our sponsor one more time,
Oh, yeah.
Mattress Makers, for making it possible for us to be out here at spring training, natural handcrafted mattresses. I know that sounds like weird, but most of the mattresses that are made are just come from big factories somewhere that are shipped probably from overseas. They have their own factory,
They're the best.
custom making mattresses for local customers. And if you want a good night's sleep, that really is the way to go at Mattress Makers.
Yeah, the pillow is fantastic. And please, again, make sure you get it home safely.
Yes, I've got mine in my car and
you
yours
guys
in my car
Get
as well.
home safely as
We
well.
will try to drive
Please.
safely. And Sammy, you have a good next 5 weeks or so before you get back for opening day.
Well,
I mean, you count the day. You have a count like one of those,
No.
Like in jail.
Andy Dufresne,
Yeah.
like hashtags, or what do they call them?
Crosses.
Cross
Not quite.
hashes.
X's.
Not quite. Although we're taking a big step today with the first game. So
Yeah, no doubt.
it's going to be good.
All right, no pre and post game show.
No,
though, for
no,
you.
no. Actually, I found 2 hours pregame, 45 minutes postgame. We'll break it down. We'll
Oh
talk
my
about
God.
what happened in the 8th inning. We
Yeah.
can't believe the decision making in
Is
the ninth
Bob
inning.
Melvin on the hot seat for the
Don't-
moves that he made?
Don't give Adam
In
again
spring
more
training.
ideas. More ideas for more Sammy coverage.
No,
'cause
no
Sammy's
pre and
crushed.
post
No pre
for
and
spring
post.
training. No.
Also, unsung hero for the most part back at the station, Frank.
Big
Tony
Frankie.
Paul.
Go Frank.
Doing a great
Crushed
job.
it.
Traffic issues today, notwithstanding, it was
Yep.
a really good week, and it's tough to do that all by himself, sitting there while we're out here. So he did a nice job as well.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you,
Paulie's got the
Frankie.
microphone back for a second as we hear the music, and that means we are out of here. We'll be back Monday morning in studio, but remember the YouTube stream stays.
It will continue.
Even when we were in studio, so you can always join us that way. For Frank, for Paul, for Sammy, for Hannah, for Bo, for Woods, I'm Ben. Have a great weekend from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, Peoria.
I love Ben and Woods.
No.
I said it out loud.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here from